Chapter 2140. You dare? Shen Yaotian, Tai Yi, and the rest, who had been guarding Yi Wuji, flew into a rage when they saw Supreme Emperor Heaven, Yan Mo Shen, and the rest launching a sneak attack. Boom, boom, boom. A series of earth-shattering explosions resounded as terrifying void god artifacts blocked off the attack. Humph! You think you can stop this emperor? With the help of Shen Huang, Supreme Emperor Heaven, who had reached the peak of the void god realm, snorted coldly. He opened his eye of massacre and wielded his creation divine weapon. He tore through the layers of obstacles like a hot knife through butter, forming a Dao Will heavenly diagram that covered several li of space. He launched a fatal attack at Yi Wuji. Yan Mo Shen, 9 demon gods, and the rest also raised their battle strength to the peak. They wielded their strongest void god artifacts and attacked Yi Wuji, who was being annihilated by the pill tribulation. Roar! Roar! Seeing Supreme Emperor Heaven's attack about to reach Yi Wuji, the ancestral dragon god transformed into a majestic primogenitor dragon and used his massive body to block Supreme Emperor Heaven. Tai Yi, who was at the peak of the void god realm, also used his supreme killing move to attack Yan Mo Shen, 9 demon gods, and the rest. Eye of Massacre, penetrate! Facing the attack of the ancestral dragon god, Supreme Emperor Heaven raised the power of his Eye of Massacre to its peak. He shot out a blinding light and clashed fiercely with the ancestral dragon god. Father, I'll help you! At the critical moment, a roar resounded. Yi Chenfeng, who had refined 2 supreme-grade void god pills, had stepped into the great circle of the void god realm at the critical moment. He led everyone out of the universe realm and appeared in the outside world. Great circle of the void god realm. Sensing Yi Chenfeng's, evil gods, and Tao Tai's realms, the 9 demon gods and the rest's expressions changed. They hadn't expected Yi Chenfeng and the rest to break through in such a short time. However, when they thought of Supreme Emperor Heaven's trump card, they didn't retreat. They used their trump cards at all costs and attacked Yi Chenfeng and the rest with all their might. Supreme Emperor Patriarch, quickly use your trump card. We can't hold on for much longer. Yi Chenfeng and the rest's attacks were too ferocious. The 9 demon gods and the rest couldn't block them. They had no choice but to seek help from Supreme Emperor Heaven. Don't worry, they will definitely die. Supreme Emperor Heaven revealed a sinister smile. He immediately took out 2 dark gold crystals with ancient runes engraved on them and crushed them. Then, the 2 dark golden crystals emitted a terrifying divine power, transforming into a dark golden hand and a dark golden head with swirling vortexes in its eyes that could shake the heavens and the earth. Hands of Shen Huang, skull of Shen Huang. Seeing the sudden appearance of the large hand and head, the expressions of Shen Yaotian and the others changed greatly. Shen Huang was an expert at the pinnacle of the nihility god realm. His strength surpassed that of Yi Chenfeng, Shen Yaotian, and the rest. Under the attacks of Shen Huang's hand and Shen Huang's skull, the attacks of Yi Chenfeng and the rest were completely suppressed. Desolate domain, sword domain, fuse. Looking at the people who were retreating, Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath. He instantly merged the 2 great domains and cast the 3 supreme divine abilities to attack. Die. As Yi Chenfeng cast the 3 supreme divine abilities, the hands of Shen Huang immediately went up to meet them. With a punch, a large patch of space was shattered. Air currents surged, and the vast fist radiance was like a long dragon, tearing apart the 3 supreme divine abilities that Yi Chenfeng had cast. The punch sent him flying, and a large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. Chenfeng. Shen Yaotian's heart tightened. She used the Bell of Fortune to force the 9 demonic gods back and hug Yi Chenfeng, who had lost control of his body. She asked anxiously, "Son, are you all right?" "I'm fine. I can still fight." Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and controlled the chaos appearance to suppress the injuries on his body. He was full of fighting spirit as he spoke. "I'm not playing with you anymore. Supreme Emperor Heaven's pupils constricted, and his entire body merged with the skull of Shen Huang. In the next moment, a sound that sounded like a star exploding rang out. With a roar from the skull of Shen Huang, Yi Chunfeng and the others were all injured. They were sent flying by the terrifying roar. Yi Wuji, your doomsday has arrived. Obediently accept your death. With a roar that sent Yi Chunfeng and the others flying, Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others directly faced Yi Wuji. Under normal circumstances, Yi Wuji naturally wouldn't be afraid of the hands of Shen Huang and the skull of Shen Huang. But now, Yi Wuji was refining the heaven-seizing divine pill and had used up too much energy. The appearance of the hands of Shen Huang and the skull of Shen Huang brought him great danger. It was very likely that he would fail in refining the pill. However, there wasn't a trace of panic on Yi Wuji's face. It was as if everything was under his control. Meanwhile, in Shen Yaotian, Yi Chunfeng and the others received Yi Wuji's telepathic message and quickly retreated 10,000 meters away. Supreme Emperor Heaven, why do you think this god is refining pills in front of everyone in the original demon race? Yi Wuji swept away his fatigue and used little six paths to withstand the baptism of the pill tribulation. He coldly looked at Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others and spoke with dignity. And looking at Yi Wuji's deep eyes and seeing Shen Yaotian, Yi Chunfeng and the others retreating, Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others suddenly felt uneasy, as if they had stepped into a dangerous situation. You can't guess? Then this god will tell you. Yi Wuji revealed a faint smile and said, This god hasn't gathered all the main ingredients for refining the heaven-seizing divine pill, so I laid down this trap to lure you all here. If I refine you all and add the power of Shen Huang, I might be able to refine the complete heaven-seizing divine pill. What? Yi Wuji's words were like thunder that exploded in the ears of Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others, causing the uneasiness in their hearts to grow even stronger. Don't believe his nonsense. Let's attack together. We'll definitely be able to take advantage of this opportunity to kill him, Supreme Emperor Heaven said with a gloomy expression. He controlled the hands of Shen Huang and the skull of Shen Huang to attack Yi Wuji. As Supreme Emperor Heaven attacked with all their strength, Yama God, Nine Demon God, and the others also used their strongest killing moves to attack Yi Wuji, wanting to injure him heavily. Ancient God Exterminating Array, appear. Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others launched their fatal attack. Yi Wuji activated his greatest trump card. A huge divine array that enveloped the original demon race appeared, releasing an ancient power to destroy everything. It shattered the attacks of Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others and sent them flying. Ancient God Exterminating Array. How could you lay down such a divine array? Supreme Emperor Heaven had heard of the primordial god Exterminating Array and knew of its might. It was rumored that during the primordial war, the primordial god Exterminating Array had appeared and obliterated a large number of void gods. There was even a void god who was refined to death by the array. Humph, do you think this god entered the ancient path of the starry sky for nothing? This god's methods aren't something you can imagine. Yi Wuji coldly snorted and controlled the ancient god Exterminating Array to destroy Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others. No. Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others cried out in despair as they faced the attack of the ancient god Exterminating Array. They attacked with all their might, wanting to tear apart the array and leave. However, the power of the ancient god Exterminating Array was too terrifying. The attacks of Supreme Emperor Heaven and the others were completely useless. They were continuously destroyed by the array. After half an incense stick's worth of time, the demon gods couldn't withstand the attacks of the ancient god Exterminating Array and turned into clouds of blood mist, drifting within the array. Merge. With a thought, Yi Wuji controlled the clouds of blood mist to merge with the six realms' divine furnace, increasing the quality of the heaven-seizing divine pill. After another incense stick's worth of time, The Void God Realm 9 demon gods were also refined by the ancient god exterminating array, turning into blood mist and merging with the 6 realms divine furnace. Chapter 2141. Lord Shun Huang, save me. Supreme Emperor Heaven, who had stepped into the peak of the Nihility God realm, had never imagined that things would turn out like this. He immediately asked Shun Huang for help. However, it wasn't Shun Huang himself that was trapped in the primordial god exterminating array. It was his avatar, Shun Huang's head and hand. They couldn't tear apart the primordial god exterminating array and protect Supreme Emperor Heaven. Yama's order, explode for me. Yama God, whose life was hanging by a thread, continuously spat his blood into the primordial god artifact, Yama's order. He forcefully detonated the Yama's order and threw it at the primordial god exterminating array. He wanted to blast a hole in the array and leave. The explosion of Yama's order was terrifying, but it couldn't tear apart the primordial god exterminating array. The loss of the Yama god's most powerful treasure also announced the fate of the Yama god. Bang! Yama god, whose injuries were getting worse, exploded, turning into a bloody mist that became the nourishment for the heaven-seizing divine pill. After fusing with Yama god, the 9 demonic gods, and the others, an 8th divine pattern appeared in the heaven-seizing divine pill in the 6 realms divine furnace. However, this divine pattern was still very faint and needed a large amount of energy to form. Yi Wuji, I'll fight it out with you. Yama God, who was at the peak of the Nihility God realm, died. Supreme Emperor Heaven revealed a look of despair. He fused with Shun Huang's head and hand and attacked Yi Wuji crazily. What? You still don't want to accept your fate? Yi Wuji said coldly. He controlled the primordial god exterminating array to shatter Supreme Emperor Heaven's attacks and worsen his injuries. Just as Yi Wuji controlled the primordial god exterminating array to destroy Supreme Emperor Heaven and Shun Huang's avatar, the pill tribulation that was forcefully isolated by Little Six Paths was enraged. It constantly drew the power of the 5-colored tribulation cloud and attacked Little Six Paths. It wanted to shatter Little Six Paths and destroy the heaven-seizing divine pill. Mother, do you think Father will succeed? Seeing the pill tribulation getting stronger and stronger, Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but sweat for Yi Wuji. Don't worry, everything is within your father's plan. There won't be any accidents. Xin Yaotian smiled faintly. However, she didn't feel relaxed. After all, the heaven-seizing supreme pill was too important to Yi Wuji. Once he failed, it meant that he would lose the right to compete for the title of God. Just as Yi Chunfeng, Shen Yaotian, and the others were praying for Yi Wuji, the 6 Paths divine tribulations that had multiplied in power suddenly blasted away the 6 Paths divine tribulations. They were like crazy divine dragons that bombarded the ancient god-exterminating formation. The terrifying power caused the ancient god-exterminating formation to tremble violently. Hand of Shun Huang, skull of Shun Huang burn. Feeling the primordial god extermination array tremble, Supreme Emperor Heaven knew that his chance had come. Without hesitation, he ignited Shun Huang's external incarnation and raised his battle prowess to the maximum, launching his most lethal attack at Yi Wuji. When the Supreme Emperor Heaven's combined divine blaze arrived, a gap appeared in the ancient god extermination formation. The terrifying pill tribulation descended and struck the Supreme Emperor Heaven's divine blaze, weakening its power. No, how could this be? Supreme Emperor Heaven didn't expect Yi Wuji to be so meticulous in his calculations, completely tricking him. Hand of Shun Huang, skull of Shun Huang, explode for me. Under the attack of the pill tribulation, the divine blaze's power continued to weaken. Supreme Emperor Heaven didn't hesitate to detonate the Hand of Shun Huang and Skull of Shun Huang to launch a final attack at Yi Wuji. However, the moment the Hand of Shun Huang and Skull of Shun Huang exploded, the 6 paths divine tribulations descended and ruthlessly bombarded the divine blaze's power, directly suppressing the terrifying explosive power. Supreme Emperor Heaven, use whatever other methods you have. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't have a chance anymore. Yiwuji looked at the pale and flustered Supreme Emperor Heaven and said domineeringly, "Eye of Massacre, divine weapon of creation, destroy." Shen Huang's external incarnation was forcefully suppressed by the 6 paths divine tribulations. Supreme Emperor Heaven burned his powerful life blood to increase the offensive power of the 2 supreme treasures to the greatest extent as he desperately attacked Yiwuji. Although Shen Huang had stepped into the peak of the Void God realm, compared to Yiwuji, the difference in strength was too great. Even with the Eye of Massacre and the divine weapon of creation, it couldn't make up for the difference in strength. Yiwuji was multitasking. Using the 3 live stone, he unleashed an invincible divine ability and easily blocked the attacks of the Eye of Massacre and the divine weapon of creation. Supreme Emperor Heaven's attack was broken. The primordial god-slaying force smashed down and tore through Supreme Emperor Heaven's defenses like breaking rotten wood, aggravating his injuries. At this time, Shen Huang's power was forcibly shattered by the 6 paths divine tribulations. Shen Huang's attack also completely dissipated under the baptism of the pill tribulation. 6 paths divine tribulations, suppress the pill tribulation. Seeing the terrifying pill tribulation bombarding the 6 paths divine furnace, Yiwuji controlled the 6 paths divine tribulations to suppress them again, weakening the power of the pill tribulation. Supreme Emperor Heaven, let this god send you to hell. After breaking through Supreme Emperor Heaven's attacks, Yiwuji didn't hesitate anymore. He controlled the primordial god-slaying formation to continuously attack Supreme Emperor Heaven, continuously shattering his powerful fiend god body. While the primordial god-slaying formation was attacking, Yiwuji also used supreme divine abilities to continuously attack. Under the dual attacks of Yiwuji and the primordial god-slaying formation, Supreme Emperor Heaven's injuries became more and more severe. In the end, he couldn't resist and his body was blasted apart, turning into a powerful blood mist. 6 paths divine furnace fuse. After destroying Supreme Emperor Heaven, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the 6 paths divine furnace to release its powerful strength. It devoured the thick blood mist, refined it, and fused it into the heaven-seizing divine pill. After fusing with the blood mist formed by Supreme Emperor Heaven, the 8th divine mark in the heaven-seizing divine pill finally took shape. Shen Huang's power refine. Yi Chunfeng's hands moved quickly, controlling the primordial god-slaying formation to revolve violently. He refined the Shen Huang's power that pervaded the divine formation, forming a large amount of pure energy liquid that fused into the 6 paths divine furnace. After devouring the Shen Huang's power, the 9th divine mark appeared in the heaven-seizing divine pill. However, this divine mark was too faint and couldn't be condensed into form. Primordial god-slaying formation, refine the pill tribulation. Yiwuji took a deep breath and controlled the primordial god-slaying formation to refine the descending pill tribulation. He refined the power of the pill tribulation into pill patterns and fused them into the 6 paths divine furnace to condense the 9th divine mark. Once the 9th divine mark was condensed, it wouldn't be far from refining the heaven-seizing divine pill. Time passed day by day. The power of the heaven-seizing divine pill's pill tribulation was too terrifying. After bombarding it for more than a month, it still didn't have the chance to dissipate. However, under the cover of the primordial god-slaying formation, not only was the pill tribulation unable to destroy the heaven-seizing divine pill, it instead became nourishment for the heaven-seizing divine pill. After fusing with the power of the pill tribulation for more than a month, the 9th divine mark in the heaven-seizing divine pill finally took shape. It became more and more intense, and the tribulation clouds that covered the scorching sun gradually dissipated. Rootless water, outer heaven divine water, fuse. After condensing the 9th pill pattern, Yi Wuji immediately summoned 2 great divine waters and poured them into the 6 paths divine furnace, accelerating the formation of the heaven-seizing divine pill. Bang bang bang! After another 10 days or so, beads of sweat appeared on Yi Wuji's forehead. The pale Yi Wuji suddenly imprinted 81 palms into the scalding 6 paths divine furnace. In the next second, the blazing flames broke through the cauldron's lid, shattering the 2 outer realm divine stones that were covering the lid. In the next moment, a 7-colored heaven-seizing divine pill flew into the sky like a scalding red sun, illuminating the entire sky and turning it into a 5-colored glow. It's finally done. Looking at the heaven-seizing divine pill that had reached the pinnacle of the universe, Yi Qinfeng, Shen Yaotian, and the others couldn't help but reveal a look of excitement. Chapter 2142. Congratulations, Wuji! You've finally succeeded in refining the heaven-seizing supreme pill. The first dragon god, the god of life, and the others stepped forward and congratulated Yi Wuji, who was pale but could not hide his joy. Although they had successfully concocted the heaven-seizing divine pellet, the primordial dragon god and the others knew how difficult it was to concoct such a pellet. If it weren't for Yi Wuji's astounding plan of laying down the eternal god exterminating array and refining the supreme emperor heaven, Yama god, and the others into the heaven-seizing divine pellet, Yi Wuji wouldn't have been able to concoct it. Let's go. We'll leave the demon world and return to the Kunlun sacred land. Yi Wuji and the others did not stay in the devil world for long and returned to the Kunlun Holy Land after refining the supreme grade hollow spirit pill, fortune divine pill, and heaven-seizing divine pill. With the human sovereign defeated, Yi Wuji and the others became the new leaders of the human race. Their arrival was not rejected by the Kunlun sacred land. Instead, they were welcomed. Wuji, how long do you think it will take for you to enter the ultimate empty god realm? The first dragon god asked. If time flows 100 times faster, I should be able to enter the ultimate empty god realm within 5 years. However, Shen Huang may come out at any time, so I can't guarantee that I'll be able to enter the ultimate empty god realm by the time he comes out. Yi Wuji took a deep breath and said worriedly, Wuji, can the primordial god-destroyer formation you control resist Shen Huang? Tai Yi thought for a while and asked. Now that he and Yi Wuji were on the same boat, they were bound together for good or ill. If I enter the ultimate empty god realm and control the primordial god-destroyer formation, I can definitely resist Shen Huang. If it's you guys, you'll need at least 8 peak empty god realm almighties to unleash the full power of the primordial god-destroyer formation to resist Shen Huang. Yi Wuji said after some thought. 8 peak empty god realm almighties. Hearing Yi Wuji's words, everyone's heart sank. Now, only Tai Yi and the first dragon god were peak empty god realm almighties. Shen Yaotian, Sunchasur, the god of life, and the Phoenix god had hopes of entering the peak empty god realm almighties in a short time with the primordial god destroyer divine. They still lacked 2 people. Without the divine brilliance realm, the peak of the nihility god realm could be said to be the most terrifying existence in the nihility god realm. Wanting to find the help of 2 almighty peak of the nihility god realm was undoubtedly a fantasy. I know a peak nihility god who has a death grudge with the Sky tribe. Death god, who had been silent all this while, suddenly spoke. Who is it? As soon as Grim Reaper's voice fell, everyone's gaze shot towards him. Shen Jiudi, Death god said. Shen Jiudi, the greatest traitor of the god clan back then, he is still alive. Shen Henggu and Shen Daoshu's faces instantly darkened. Shen Jiudi was once known as the #1 genius of the divine race, and even competed with the divine emperor for supremacy. However, after Shen Jiudi lost to the divine emperor, he betrayed the divine race and caused a huge uproar. Someone once said that if Shen Jiudi had not betrayed them, he and the emperor god would have had a chance to defeat Shen Huang. Shen Jiudi is my master. The reason why I betrayed the divine race is because of him. Death God nodded. Forefather Sunchasur, what do you think? Shin Daoshu, Shin Hinggu, did not act on his own. Instead, he shot his gaze towards the oldest Sunchasur, asking for his opinion. If Shin Jiudi is willing to help, I can forgive him. Sunchasur knew that the destruction of the God clan had little to do with Shin Jiudi. Moreover, it was a critical time. If Shin Jiudi was willing to help, their chances of defeating Shen Huang would greatly increase. Father, why don't Death God and I go and invite Shin Jiudi? You guys wait in the Kunlun sacred land. Yi Chunfeng saw that Sunchasur had no objections and asked, All right, then I'll leave the task of inviting Shin Jiudi to you. If he's really unwilling to help, don't force him. Now that Yi Chunfeng had broken through to the great Void God realm, there were only a handful of people in the Void God realm who could hurt him. Moreover, Yi Chunfeng trusted Yi Chunfeng's ability and nodded. All right, I understand. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, Death God, where is Shin Jiudi? Master should be in the City of Confusion. Death God said. The City of Confusion is the biggest money-squandering place in the Void God realm. Yi Wuji and the rest had heard of the City of Confusion. They knew that the City of Confusion was located at the edge of various worlds and did not belong to any clan. It was the biggest money-squandering place in the Void God realm. The situation in the city was very chaotic and complicated. There were rumors that the city lord of the City of Confusion was a great Void God realm master. Even the Heavenly Clan and the Demon Clan were not willing to provoke them. All right, we'll go to the City of Confusion now. We'll be back in 2 years at the latest. Time was of the essence. Yi Chunfeng did not waste any time and immediately prepared to head to the City of Confusion with Death God. Before heading to the City of Confusion, Yi Chunfeng left behind Yu Nikhang, Shin Daoshu, Shen Henggu and the rest to guard the Kunlun sacred land in case Shen Huang appeared. The City of Confusion was the most mysterious city in the Void God realm. It occupied an extremely vast area and was not under the jurisdiction of any clan. Yi Chunfeng steered the divine boat and under the guidance of the topographic map of the Void God realm, he finally arrived outside the City of Confusion after half a month of traveling. He saw the City of Confusion shrouded in powerful barriers and looked like a divine kingdom. What a powerful spirit array! Yi Chunfeng had seen many powerful spirit arrays, but when he arrived outside the City of Confusion, he found that the spirit array covering the City of Confusion was terrifying. It was even stronger than the original Demon Clan's Guardian array. It seems that there is a reason why the City of Confusion has not been controlled by the various clans. Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. He paid 10,000 mid-rank Saint Crystals and walked into the City of Confusion along with the bustling crowd. Walking into the City of Confusion, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. He found that under the interference of the spirit array, his soul perception was greatly limited. Death God, have you been to the City of Confusion before? Yi Chunfeng asked the Death God, who was shrouded in a black robe and had a pair of fierce eyes. No, I have never been to the City of Confusion. The Death God shook his head and said indifferently. Then how can you be sure that Shin Jiudi is in the City of Confusion? Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. When I separated from Master, he told me that if there was any danger in the future, I should come to the City of Confusion to find him. The City of Confusion is very chaotic and suitable for hiding, so I am sure that Master is in the City of Confusion. The Death God explained. I hope so. Yi Chunfeng sighed softly. Although the Death God was sure, Yi Chunfeng was not certain. After all, so many years had passed and anything could happen. Death God, do you have any way to find your master? Yi Chunfeng asked. Don't worry, young Master Yi. I will leave a special mark in the City of Confusion. If Master senses it, he will definitely come to find me. The Death God said. That's good. Knowing that the Death God had a way to contact Shin Jiudi, Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, Let's go, let's find a place to stay. The city of confusion was too big. As they walked, the sky gradually darkened. Rays of misty light appeared, making the city of confusion even more beautiful. The city of confusion at night was more lively and noisy than during the day. A large number of women with enchanting and sexy figures, who could be regarded as holy maidens in some small sects, appeared on the streets, flirting with the passers-by. Seducing them to the brothels to drink and chat. There were also many passers-by, entering and leaving the lavishly decorated casinos, spending a lot of money. The city of confusion is truly a place where one can lead a befuddled life. Chapter 2143. You two don't look familiar. Would you like to come in and have a seat? When Yi Chunfeng and Grim Reaper passed by a luxurious brothel, a woman with light makeup on her face and a white chiffon skirt suddenly stopped Yi Chunfeng and Grim Reaper. Her beautiful body was faintly discernible, and she exuded a faint fragrance. We still have matters to attend to. Another day. Yi Chunfeng shook his head, looked at the woman's charming face, and tactfully refused. Then, he left with Grim Reaper. Sky Emperor, that woman is from the Sky Race. Grim Reaper's cold voice echoed in Yi Chunfeng's ears. Yes, such a young Sky Emperor would definitely be a saintess in some of the mid-tier factions of the Sky Race. But here, she can only rely on her appearance and body to make a living. I really don't know what she's after. Yi Chunfeng shook his head. Young Master Yi, not everyone has the determination to step onto the peak of martial arts. Grim Reaper slowly said, and the reason why her cultivation speed is so fast is probably because she sold herself out and obtained cultivation resources that are unimaginable in the outside world. Yi Chunfeng and Grim Reaper talked as they walked. As they walked, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly and looked at a magnificent brothel. In the brothel, there were women shuttling back and forth among the crowd. Laughter, noise, and flirtatious voices mixed together. It was very lively. What's wrong, young Master Yi? Grim Reaper was startled when he saw Yi Chunfeng suddenly stop and look into the depths of the brothel. Let's go in and take a look. Yi Chunfeng released his powerful soul force to sense for a moment and revealed a faint smile. He led Grim Reaper into the brightly lit brothel filled with beautiful women and the fragrance of cosmetics. Two gentlemen, please come in. Do you have a lover? Yi Chunfeng and Grim Reaper had just entered the brothel when a beautiful woman wearing revealing clothes and heavy makeup walked over quickly with her plump legs. No. Yi Chunfeng glanced at the slightly trembling beautiful woman and shook his head. Our drunken dream inn has many charming ladies. I wonder what the two of you would like? The beautiful woman noticed that Yi Chunfeng had an extraordinary bearing, and the Grim Reaper was even more unfathomable. The smile on her face grew wider as she enthusiastically introduced them. Ugly, the uglier the better. Yi Chunfeng looked at Xiang Yi. She said indifferently in the gorgeous hall. The beautiful woman. Young master, you're not joking, right? This was the first time the beautiful woman had seen someone who liked ugly girls. You think I'm joking? Yi Chunfeng took out 10 top-rank Saint crystals and tossed them to the beautiful woman. Quickly find me a few ugly girls, the uglier the better. Yes, I will arrange it for young master. The beautiful woman glanced at Yi Chunfeng's handsome face and secretly sighed, speechless at his taste. She immediately arranged an elegant private room for Yi Chunfeng and the Grim Reaper and found 6 of the ugliest girls in Drunken Dream Inn. Young master, I wonder if you are satisfied with these 6? The beautiful woman asked with a charming smile. No, they are too beautiful. Are there any uglier ones? Looking at them, Yi Chunfeng blinked his eyes. Yi Chunfeng shook his head as he looked at the 6 ugly girls with dazed eyes. Beautiful! The beautiful woman's face darkened, but the 6 women's eyes were filled with tears. After coming to Drunken Dream Inn for so many years, they had been humiliated because of their looks. This was the first time they had heard someone praise them for their beauty. Cleaning maids are also fine, as long as they are ugly, bring them to me. Yi Chunfeng said lightly. Good. The beautiful woman really couldn't stand Yi Chunfeng's unique taste and shook her head before ordering 3 ugly maids to be brought in. When Yi Chunfeng saw a woman wearing a gray dress, with a face full of pimples, dark skin, 1 large eye, 1 small eye, and protruding teeth, Yi Chunfeng's deep eyes flashed, like a hungry wolf seeing a delicious rabbit. As for this incomparably ugly woman, when she saw Yi Chunfeng, she was stunned for a moment. Excitement appeared in her big and small eyes. Good, I'll pick her. Yi Chunfeng pointed to the big-eyed woman and threw a fist-sized, extremely pure top-rank Saint Crystal to the beautiful woman. Bring me the best wine in your inn, I want to have a few drinks with her. Good, good. Receiving the huge top-rank Saint Crystal thrown by Yi Chunfeng, the smile on the beautiful woman's face became even wider. Young lord, I'll help you have a good time, I won't disturb young lord any further. Wait, find a few girls for my friend, remember to find the most beautiful ones. Yi Chunfeng took out 2 extremely valuable blood jades and threw them to the beautiful woman. Young Master Yi, I'll wait for you outside. Death God shook his head. It's fine, you haven't touched a woman for a long time, just relax. Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. Good. Death God, who was shrouded in a black robe, nodded and left with the beautiful woman to enjoy her warm and fragrant body. What, you still want to pretend? After Death God, the beautiful woman, and the others left and the fine wine was brought to the table, Yi Chunfeng placed a soundproof barrier in the elegant room and looked at the ugly woman with a chuckle. How did you find me? The woman's eyes were moist. She took out a bottle of medicine and smeared it on her face. Instantly, her entire face underwent an earth-shattering change. The lumps on her face disappeared, and her appearance underwent a drastic change. Her beautiful eyes sparkled, and her every frown and smile revealed an indescribable charm. At this moment, she was like a rose that was about to bloom. She was beautiful but not demonic. She was extremely charming and breathtaking. Heaven Plucker, how did you come to the Void God world? Looking at Heaven Plucker's even more beautiful face, Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but reveal a faint smile and ask softly. He didn't expect that Heaven Plucker, who he had never seen in the Duhan continent, would actually come to the Void God world. Tell me first, how did you find me? Heaven Plucker looked straight at Yi Chunfeng and suppressed the excitement in his heart. I happened to pass by Lost God City and felt your aura. Yi Chunfeng said softly, Heaven Plucker, come with me. Go with you? I'm not your woman, why should I go with you? Heaven Plucker slowly walked to Yi Chunfeng's side and slyly said. Yi Chunfeng pulled Heaven Plucker to his side and looked at her delicate and charming face. Come with me, no one will bully you. This lady is so powerful, who dares to bully me? The corner of Heaven Plucker's mouth slightly rose as she stubbornly said. Sigh, you're still so stubborn. Yi Chunfeng gently shook his head and said, Right, how did you get here? I was brought here by my master. Heaven Plucker sank into her memories and told Yi Chunfeng about how she secretly ascended to the Heaven Realm, met her second master, followed her to Lost God City in the Void God world, and finally, her master was killed. Who killed your master? Yi Chunfeng slightly frowned after knowing that Heaven Plucker's master had died. My master was killed by the young master of the Zhuoqiu family, Zhuoqiu Lin. Thinking about her master's enemy, Heaven Plucker gnashed her teeth in hatred. I've been staying in Lost God City because I wanted to kill him with my own hands and avenge my master. However, I didn't have good cultivation resources, so my cultivation speed has always been very slow. Heaven Plucker, I'll avenge your master for you. Yi Chunfeng knew that Heaven Plucker, who had no one to rely on, had suffered all kinds of grievances in these past few years. His heart was filled with pity. That Zhuoqiu Lin is a 1-star ancestor realm almighty. I'm afraid you're not his match. Heaven Plucker didn't know Yi Chunfeng's strength and softly said. He's just a 1-star ancestor realm almighty. Even if he's a void god, I can kill him like killing a chicken. Yi Chunfeng slightly raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a trace of arrogance. Yi Chunfeng, you've changed, you've become fond of bragging. Heaven Plucker blinked her big eyes at Yi Chunfeng and said in a lovely voice, "This is not good." Chapter 2144. Heaven Planner, I'm really not bragging. Yi Chunfeng looked at Heaven Planner, who was smiling like a flower and had a face full of disbelief, and said with a dark expression, "All right, let's not talk about this anymore." Heaven Planner smiled and said, "Qingfeng, do you still remember the agreement between us back then?" "What agreement?" Looking at the misty and charming Heaven Planner, Yi Chunfeng's heart skipped a beat. "I said that if you help me take revenge, I'll give you my body. Now, shouldn't we do something?" Heaven Planner bit her red lips gently and looked at Yi Chunfeng lovingly. Her alluring expression made one's imagination run wild. "All right, that was just a joke. Don't take it seriously." Yi Chunfeng suppressed his restless heart and said softly, "Qingfeng, you despise me? Despise me for not being beautiful?" Heaven Planner moved forward again, as if she wanted Yi Chunfeng to take a closer look at her. No. Yi Chunfeng had to admit that Heaven Planner was very beautiful and charming. She was a peerless beauty that would make one's imagination run wild. "Something. Are you afraid that I'll pester you?" Heaven Planner gently exhaled waves of fragrance and said seductively, "I know you have a lot of women, but I don't care. I just want to fulfill my promise. Don't think too much." With that, Heaven Planner grabbed Yi Chunfeng's big hand and pressed it under her soft and straight twin peak. In the next moment, Heaven Planner's right hand wrapped around Yi Chunfeng's neck like a snake and took the initiative to kiss him. Heaven Planner's initiative and tenderness were like fire that ignited Yi Chunfeng's heart. Soon, the two of them kissed. "Qingfeng, let me help you bathe, okay?" With a delicate and charming face, Heaven Planner pressed her soft red lips against Yi Chunfeng's ear and said, "I want to give myself to you cleanly." "All right." Facing the temptation of the Heaven Plucker, Yi Chunfeng no longer suppressed himself. He nodded and came to the side of the bathtub. Together with the Heaven Plucker, they took off their clothes and soaked in the bathtub filled with floating red petals. Seeing each other naked, Heaven Plucker smiled charmingly and suddenly lowered his head into the bathtub. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng felt a ball of flames enveloping him. He felt as if he was floating and could not help but close his eyes. The two of them went from the bathtub to the bed, indulging in love. Their coquettish voices, low moans, and shouts blended together, composing the rhythm of their passion. Yi Chunfeng had broken through to the consummate empty god realm, and there was a large amount of medicinal power left in his body. This medicinal power was almost useless to Yu Nikhang and Xia Wendi, but it was a great supplement to the 3-star Tao Master, Plucker of Heaven. When a large amount of essence in Yi Chunfeng's body erupted into the Heaven Plucker's body, the bottleneck of her realm suddenly loosened. The majestic medicinal power instantly broke through the bottleneck of her realm, allowing her to break through to the 4-star Tao Master realm. I actually broke through. With messy hair and a blush on her delicate face, the Heaven Plucker opened her blurred eyes and said in disbelief, "You're just a 4-star Tao Master. As long as you're obedient, I'll let you step into the 1-star Tao Ancestor realm in a short time." Yi Chunfeng gently stroked the Heaven Plucker's soft long hair and said softly, "Really?" The Heaven Plucker said in surprise, "I've never lied to anyone, especially my woman." Yi Chunfeng promised softly, "Qingfeng, let's do it again. Let's see if I can break through again." The Heaven Plucker, who had tasted the sweetness, gently bit Yi Chunfeng's earlobe and said charmingly. Soon, the two of them rolled together again, composing a chapter of love. The night passed quickly. Under the nourishment of Yi Chunfeng, the Heaven Plucker miraculously broke through to the 5-star Tao Master realm. Look, after breaking through, the Heaven Plucker's skin became smoother and more delicate. Her temperament also changed slightly, becoming more seductive and charming. "Let's go, let's get out of here." After dressing up neatly, Yi Chunfeng brought the Heaven Plucker and met up with the Death God who indulged for a night. They quietly left the drunken dream inn. Seeing the heaven plucker beside Yi Chunfeng, the death god's eyes could not help but brighten. However, as a smart person, the death god did not ask much and followed behind Yi Chunfeng in silence. Death god, I'll find a place to stay. You go and leave a mark. Then we'll use the communication pearl to contact each other. Yi Chunfeng did not waste any more time. He asked the death god to leave a special mark to contact the 9 emperors while he took the heaven plucker to find a place to stay in the City of Confusion. Although the mansion in the City of Confusion was frighteningly expensive, it was nothing for the wealthy Yi Chunfeng. Soon, Yi Chunfeng bought a mansion with an excellent location by the lake and waited for the death god's news. Heaven plucker, do you want me to accompany you to the Zhuoqiu clan now and avenge your master? Yi Chunfeng asked softly. No, I once swore that I would kill the demon Zhuoqiu Lin with my own hands. The heaven plucker shook her head and said firmly. Well, then I'll think of a way to help you reach the 1-star Dao ancestor realm in a short time. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng took out an ancestor elixir and fed it to the heaven plucker's rosy mouth to help her refine the ancestor elixir's medicinal power and break through to the 6-star Dao Master realm. Time flew. Soon, 2 months had passed. In these 2 months, with the help of Yi Chunfeng, the heaven plucker's realm advanced by leaps and bounds and broke through to the 1-star Dao God realm. Yi Chunfeng was not lonely and spent his free time with the heaven plucker. Endless spring. Lustful. However, the death god left a special mark in almost every corner of the City of Confusion but could not contact the 9 emperors. This made Yi Chunfeng suspect that the 9 emperors were not in the City of Confusion. Young Master Yi, before we came back, I heard that in a few days, there will be a grand private auction in the Plenilune Pavilion. Shall we go there and inquire about it? Maybe we can get some valuable information from the upper echelons of the City of Confusion. The death god said. That's a good idea. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said. The Plenilune Pavilion was a very famous building in the City of Confusion. It was located in the east of the City of Confusion. The pavilion was built like a divine pagoda. Streams of light fell from the top of the pagoda like a heavenly waterfall, making people gasp in amazement. In the evening, Yi Chunfeng left the death god in the lakeside residence to protect the heaven plucker who was trying to break through to the 2-star Dao God realm. He went to the Plenilune Pavilion alone to participate in the private auction. Wait, sir, do you have an invitation letter? Yi Chunfeng stepped on the setting sun and arrived outside the Plenilune Pavilion. He was immediately stopped by the guards at the door. Why? Do I need an invitation letter to participate in a small private auction? Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. A terrifying aura was emitted from his body, causing the entire space to tremble violently. No. With senior strength, you don't need an invitation letter. Senior, please come in. Sensing the terrifying aura emitted by Yi Chunfeng, the guards at the door found it difficult to breathe. Their legs trembled continuously, and they didn't dare to offend him anymore. They moved their bodies with all their might and allowed Yi Chunfeng, who had his hands behind his back, to walk into the Plenilune Pavilion. When he walked into the Plenilune Pavilion that was filled with melodious music, a young and beautiful woman wearing a thin long dress immediately came to welcome him. She gently swayed her sexy waist and brought Yi Chunfeng to the top floor of the Plenilune Pavilion to wait for the private auction to begin. When they arrived at the top floor of the Plenilune Pavilion, Yi Chunfeng saw more than 10 almighty figures with extraordinary auras and beauties in their arms had arrived early. And from the aura they emitted, they were all almighty figures of the ancestor realm. There was even one whose strength had reached the 5-star ancestor realm. Young master, do you need me to accompany you? The young woman looked at Yi Chunfeng's delicate and handsome face lovingly and spoke softly. No need, I like to be alone. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and tactfully refused. Under the disappointed gaze of the woman, he sat down in an armchair near the main seat. Yi Chunfeng's arrival immediately attracted everyone's attention. In particular, when they saw where Yi Chunfeng sat, it aroused the dissatisfaction of some people. Catching sight of everyone's eyes, Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. An aura that exceeded everyone's imagination emitted from his body and enveloped everyone. An overbearing aura suddenly shook the entire audience, causing everyone to be shocked. After releasing his aura and shocking everyone, Yi Chunfeng closed his eyes and waited in silence for the private auction to begin. Chapter 2145. As time passed, the top floor of the full moon pavilion was filled with people. Because of Yi Chunfeng's intimidation just now, no one dared to provoke him, and some people even looked at him with reverence. About an hour later, a white-robed old man with a glowing face appeared with a petite but voluptuous woman in his arms. He was the organizer of this private trade fair. Elder Hu! Seeing the white-robed old man appear, many people stood up to greet him. Because of his appearance, the private trade fair officially began. I will first throw out a brick to attract jade. Let's see if anyone is interested in these two treasures of Mr. I's. As he spoke, the white-robed old man took out a mid-grade ancestral artifact and a protective talisman. I obtained this mid-grade ancestral artifact by chance. The ancestral runes carved into it are extremely profound and contain lightning arts. It is a rare ancestral artifact. As for this protective talisman, its origin is even more extraordinary. It can block the full-powered attack of a 6-star ancestral realm expert. The white-robed old man slowly introduced. Yi Chunfeng immediately lost interest when he saw the white-robed old man take out these two great treasures, but there were many experts who had just stepped into the ancestral realm who became interested. They all took out treasures, wanting to take the mid-grade ancestral artifact and protective talisman from the white-robed old man. After some comparison, the white-robed old man used the mid-grade ancestral artifact to trade for a stalk of dragon blood grass of extraordinary quality and used the protective talisman to trade for a high-grade ancestral pill. After the white-robed old man, the petite woman next to him took out a pearl that emitted intense starlight and dragon might. Star Dragon Pearl. Yi Chunfeng's eyes lit up when he saw the pearl in the petite woman's hand. Although the Star Dragon Pearl could not increase his strength with his current strength, the Star Dragon Pearl was indeed an excellent item for refining his body. On the other hand, Yi Chunfeng had broken through to the peak of the empty god realm. Even with the divine creation pill that Yi Wuji had given him, he would not be able to reach the peak of the empty god realm in a short period of time. If he wanted to increase his combat strength, he would have to increase his physical strength and cultivate the divine change 9 transformations again. After a period of cultivation, Yi Chunfeng's divine 9 transformations transformation technique had reached the celestial body realm. The next step would be the celestial body realm. This Star Dragon Pearl was very important to him. With this Star Dragon Pearl, he could easily step into the celestial body realm and increase his strength and combat strength. Yu Ro, what do you want to exchange this Star Dragon Pearl for? Other than Yi Chunfeng, there were many other people who were interested in this Star Dragon Pearl and asked for the price. Top-grade ancestral pellets or divine items. Yu Ro glanced at the crowd and opened her red lips slightly. Supreme-grade ancestral pellet. Hearing Yu Ro's bid, everyone fell silent. Supreme-grade ancestral pills were extremely precious in Lost God City, and they were usually in the hands of peak ancestral realm experts of great powers, and they were rarely circulated to the outside world. Supreme-grade ancestral pills were of great significance to ancestral realm experts, so very few people were willing to exchange them for treasures. 2 top-grade ancestral pills for your Star Dragon Pearl. Just as the entire hall fell into silence, Yi Chunfeng took a sip of spirit tea that exuded a faint spiritual energy and made a bid. 2 top-grade ancestral pills. Hearing Yi Chunfeng's bid, Yu Ro's big charming eyes lit up. She immediately looked at Yi Chunfeng and saw 2 top-grade ancestral pills with 9 pill veins lying in Silence's hand. Okay, I'll trade with you. Yu Rou discovered that the top-grade ancestral pills in Yi Chunfeng's hand were of extremely high quality. She was overjoyed and completed the trade without hesitation. Do you still have Star Dragon Pearls? If you do, I'm willing to trade with you for the same value. Yi Chunfeng looked at the smiling Yu Rou and slowly said, Really? Yu Rou fell into ecstasy after hearing this. Although the Star Dragon Pearls were very important to her, they were nothing compared to top-grade ancestral pills. Okay. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said in a rich and imposing manner, I'll trade with you however many you have. Okay, I still have 10 Star Dragon Pearls. I'll trade with you. Yu Rou hesitated for a moment before taking out 10 Star Dragon Pearls that emitted dazzling starlight and exchanged them for 20 top-grade ancestral pills from Yi Chunfeng. Little brother, I have a lot of good things here. Can I trade for some top-grade ancestral pills? Top-grade ancestral pills were not only fatally attractive to Yu Rou, but also to all the ancestral realm experts present. Everyone stepped forward and made their offers. If you have good things, of course. Yi Chunfeng had ransacked the treasure vaults of various races and had a lot of top-grade ancestral pills on him. However, top-grade ancestral pills were useless to him, so he naturally wanted to trade for some valuable treasures. Little brother, I have a divine ability to resolve pill toxins. I wonder if you need it? Staring at Yi Chunfeng's handsome face, Yu Rou's eyes rolled slightly as she took out a jade slip sealed with powerful restrictions and said in an alluring voice, Yes, but before we trade I need to appraise it first. Yi Chunfeng's deep eyes burst out with light. Although Yi Chunfeng had stepped into the grand circle of the Void God realm with the help of 2 top-grade Void God pills, there was still a lot of pill toxins left in his body, which was why he dared not take the Fortune Divine pill. Under the influence of the pill toxins, even if he took the Fortune Divine pill, he would not be able to exert its strongest medicinal efficacy. The divine ability to resolve pill toxins was what he needed the most at present. Of course. Yu Rou seemed to trust Yi Chunfeng very much and threw the jade slip to him, allowing him to break the restrictions and release his soul force into the jade slip. After reading the contents of the jade slip, Yi Chunfeng's expression became slightly strange. He raised his head and glanced at Yu Rou's beautiful face and watery eyes. Ha ha ha, little brother, I didn't lie to you. Meeting Yi Chunfeng's gaze, Yu Rou's smile deepened. Her plump breasts trembled as if they would jump out of her clothes at any time. All right, I'll trade for this jade slip. Name your price. The jade slip Yu Rou gave him was a dual cultivation divine ability. Through dual cultivation, one could eliminate pill toxins in their body. Although the method of eliminating pill toxins was a little awkward, it was indeed practical. 10 top-grade ancestral pills and 1 top-grade ancestral skill. Yu Rou demanded an exorbitant price. Alright, deal. Although Yu Rou's price was extremely high, Yi Chunfeng still agreed without hesitation. He took out 10 top-grade ancestral pills and a top-grade ancestral skill obtained from killing a demon race ancestral realm almighty to exchange for the dual cultivation divine ability from Yu Rou. Seeing Yi Chunfeng's successive big moves, everyone looked at him with fiery eyes. There were also some people who revealed ruthless looks, wanting to kill him and rob him. Ha ha ha, little brother, the divine ability I'll give you is more difficult to cultivate. Moreover, there are many postures that ordinary girls can't learn. If you're interested, Big Sister can teach you. I guarantee that you'll learn it quickly. Although Yu Rou came with the white-robed old man, she only had a cooperative relationship with him. Seeing the rich and handsome Yi Chunfeng, she couldn't help but tempt him. No need. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and tactfully refused. Little brother, it's your turn now. I wonder if you have anything good to trade with us? Because Yi Chunfeng's position was very close to the front, after Yu Rou's trade, it was Yi Chunfeng's turn. I'm looking for a person. If anyone has news of him, I'll give them a top-grade ancestral artifact. Saying so, Yi Qinfeng took out a 9-foot 9-inch long spear from his universe mirror. It had a strange snake coiling around the spearhead and ancient ancestral runes engraved on the body of the spear, as well as a portrait of the 9 emperors drawn by the god of death. Chapter 2146. I wonder if any of you have seen this person before? Yi Qinfeng looked around, trying to catch everyone's gazes. He wanted to obtain valuable information from their gazes. Little brother, I have not seen this person before, but I can help you find him. As long as he is in Lost God City, I will definitely help you find him. The white-robed old man memorized the portrait of Shen Jiudi and slowly said, "All right." Yi Qinfeng nodded and told everyone where he lived. "No matter who it is, help me find this person and I will immediately give him this top-grade ancestral spear." Little brother, other than looking for someone, what other treasures do you want to trade? The white-robed old man was attracted by the treasures in Yi Qinfeng's possession and asked politely. "Nothing else." Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said, "But if anyone has something good, I will take it out to trade." "All right then, next one." Seeing that Yi Qinfeng had only come here to look for someone, the white-robed old man revealed a trace of disappointment. However, the minds of the Ancestor Realm experts who had yet to make a deal became active. One by one, they took out their treasures, wanting to attract Yi Qinfeng's attention. However, after cultivating to the great circle of the Nihility God realm, Yi Qinfeng's vision was extremely high and ordinary treasures could not attract his attention. "I have an ancient jade that I found in an ancient ruin. It weighs hundreds of millions of kilograms, and I want to trade it for 3 top-grade ancestral pills and a top-grade ancestral artifact." When it was the turn of a middle-aged man sitting at the end, wearing a blue robe, with a square face and thick black eyebrows, he took out a dark green ancient jade from his spatial ring. This is, looking at the dark green ancient jade in the middle-aged man's hand, Yi Qinfeng's eyes lit up and he immediately controlled his powerful soul force to penetrate it and investigate the jade. After the God-Eater Brain's deduction, Yi Qinfeng unexpectedly felt a mysterious power within the ancient jade, and this power was suspected to be the outerverse origin energy. What is the origin of this ancient jade? You actually want to exchange it for a top-grade ancestral pill and a top-grade ancestral artifact. The ancestor stage experts did not discover anything special about this ancient jade and asked coldly. The middle-aged man shook his head and said, "I don't know. However, I have risked my life to obtain this ancient jade. Moreover, I am certain that this ancient jade is not simple. How dare you ask for such a high price when you don't know? I think you've gone mad from poverty." Many people mocked and ridiculed. "I'll change." Just as the middle-aged man was considering whether or not to lower the price, Yi Qinfeng suddenly spoke. He took out a top-quality ancestral artifact and 3 top-quality ancestral pellets and traded for the dark green jade under the middle-aged man's stunned gaze. What's so special about this ancient jade? When the white-robed elder and the others saw that Yi Qinfeng had spent so much to trade for the dark green ancient jade, they immediately felt that this ancient jade was not simple. "I don't know." Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said vaguely, "All right, it's getting late. I'll be leaving first. No matter who can help me find that person, this top-grade ancestral spear is his." After unexpectedly obtaining the ancient jade, Yi Qinfeng did not linger and got up to leave. "Little brother, this is my residence. If you can't find anyone to practice dual cultivation with you, come find me. Big sister guarantees that you will live like a god." Seeing that Yi Qinfeng was about to stand up and leave, Yuro flicked her finger lightly, sending a jade strip towards Yi Qinfeng. Yi Qinfeng nodded and left Full Moon Pavilion without any hesitation. "Everyone, do any of you know his identity or origin?" As Yi Qinfeng left, the crowd began to inquire about his identity. Many of them had evil intentions. What kind of source energy is sealed in this ancient jade? Holding the several hundred million gene ancient jade, Yi Chenfeng did not linger and quickly returned to his lakeside mansion. "Young Master Yi, you're back." Death God, who had been guarding Plunder Heaven, saw Yi Chenfeng return and immediately went out to welcome him. "I wonder if you've heard anything about my master at the private trade fair?" "No, those people have never seen your master." Yi Chenfeng shook his head and said, "However, I have obtained many good things from this auction. By the way, how is Plunder Heaven's condition?" Miss Plunder should have broken through to the 2-star Tao God realm with the help of a mid-grade ancestral pill. However, when she was breaking through, a mysterious poison suddenly appeared in her body and caused her to fail. Death God slowly said, "Miss Plunder Heaven was injured because of this and damaged her meridians." Mysterious poison. Yi Chenfeng frowned slightly and said, "Death God, continue to guard this place. Without my permission, no one is allowed to enter. I'll go take a look at Plunder Heaven." After saying that, Yi Chenfeng went to Plunder Heaven's bedroom and saw the pale and bloodless Plunder Heaven curled up on the bed. Looking at Plunder Heaven's pained appearance, Yi Chenfeng immediately grabbed Plunder Heaven's wrist and released a powerful soul force into Plunder Heaven's body to check her body and force out the mysterious poison. Strange, there's no poison in Plunder Heaven's body? Yi Chenfeng released his soul force and repeatedly checked Plunder Heaven's body. However, he found that there was no poison in her body. This made Yi Chenfeng frown even tighter. According to his understanding of Death God would never lie to him. Moreover, with Plunder Heaven's weak appearance, it was impossible for her to force out the poison. After pondering for a while, Yi Chenfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce and carefully check Plunder Heaven's body. Under the God-Eater brain's sensing, he finally discovered the secret of Plunder Heaven's body. Innate poison body. Plunder Heaven actually has an innate poison body that is rarely seen in 100 years. The innate body was very powerful. For example, Xia Wendy's innate Tao body allowed her to break through realms faster than ordinary people. What Yi Chenfeng didn't expect was that Plunder Heaven also had an innate body. If I dual cultivate with Plunder Heaven and force the pill poison in my body into her body, I wonder if I can activate her innate poison body. Yi Chenfeng was just worrying about who to force the pill poison in his body into when he found out that Plunder Heaven had an innate poison body. This made him feel as though he was blessed by the heavens. About half an incense's time later, after drinking the 10,000-year spirit milk that Yi Chenfeng fed her, the weak Plunder Heaven woke up from her deep sleep. The weak meridians in her body were also quickly recovering under the 10,000-year spirit milk. "Qingfeng, am I very useless?" After failing to break through to the 2-star Tao God realm, Plunder Heaven revealed a gloomy expression. "No, you failed to break through. It's not because you don't have enough talent, but because of your physique. If I'm not wrong, you should have the rare innate poison body." Yi Chenfeng shook his head and told her about Plunder. "It's true, I really have an innate poison body." Plunder Heaven's eyes widened as she asked in surprise. She knew how powerful an innate poison body was. If she had an innate poison body, her chances of avenging her master would be greatly increased. I won't be wrong." Yi Chenfeng nodded. He looked at Plunder Heaven's lovely face and said without hesitation, "I have a way to activate your innate poison body now. I wonder if you are willing to try it?" "What way?" Plunder Heaven grabbed Yi Chenfeng's arm tightly and asked. "Dual cultivation technique." Yi Chenfeng told Plunder Heaven about the dual cultivation divine ability. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's hurry up and cultivate." Plunder Heaven said impatiently, "Qingfeng, when we cultivate later, don't take pity on me. I must activate the innate poison body." Under the God-Eater brain's deduction, Yi Chenfeng quickly comprehended the dual cultivation divine ability and imparted it to Plunder Heaven. After that, Yi Chenfeng sealed the entire bedroom and his hands climbed onto Plunder Heaven's soft body. Soon, cheerful voices could be heard in the bedroom. Chapter 2147. Innate poison body activate. The two of them tirelessly cultivated in the bedroom for 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, Heaven Plucker, who had fused with a large amount of pill toxins, activated the innate poison body and successfully broke through to the 2-star Tao God realm. After breaking through, Heaven Plucker, who had rosy skin, fell into Yi Chenfeng's arms. Her tired eyes were filled with excitement. Heaven Plucker, you rest well. I'm going to study that piece of ancient jade I just obtained. Yi Chenfeng gently kissed Heaven Plucker's smooth forehead and very considerately covered her with a blanket. After putting on his clothes, he went to the window and took out that dark green ancient jade that weighed a few 100 million kilograms. What kind of origin power is sealed in this ancient jade? Yi Chenfeng released a powerful divine power and broke apart the ancient jade bit by bit to check its authenticity. When the winding cracks spread to the depths of the ancient jade, a powerful origin power spread out from the ancient jade. This is God's origin power. Feeling the vast origin power that spread out from the ancient jade, Yi Chenfeng raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of disbelief. After the God clan was annihilated, God's origin power had long disappeared from the void God realm. However, he didn't expect to find God's origin power in an ancient jade. Moreover, according to Yi Chenfeng's senses, this ancient jade that weighed a few 100 million kilograms contained a lot of God's origin power. If he used it to shape his body, it would be enough for him to cultivate the divine transformation 9 transformations to the final stage, the divine body realm. I wonder how much my combat strength will increase after I cultivate to the divine body realm. Although Yi Chenfeng forced most of the pill toxins into Heaven Plucker's body, he knew that it was almost impossible for him to reach the pinnacle of the void God realm in a short time. If he wanted to increase his combat strength, he could only cultivate the divine transformation 9 transformations. I still have some time. Why don't I cultivate my body to the astral body realm first? After making up his mind, Yi Chenfeng entered the universe realm and took out a star dragon pearl to cultivate the 9 transformations divine transformation in the 50-fold accelerated time flow to transform his fleshly body. The star dragon pearls contained a very strong star power, and Yi Chenfeng also had a lot of body-tempering divine items. When he activated the God transformation of 9 transformations and fused the star dragon pearls and body-tempering divine items into the great desolate body, the great desolate body started to change. His physical strength kept on increasing. 100 days in the universe realm was only 2 days in the outside world. After 100 days of cultivation, Yi Chenfeng had refined 2 star dragon pearls and a large number of body-tempering divine items. He had successfully cultivated his body to the first sky of the star physique realm, and his physical strength had reached 55 trillion jin. Just as Yi Chenfeng was about to continue refining the star dragon pearl and break through to the second sky of the astral body realm, he sensed the Grim Reaper's voice transmission. With a thought, he left the universe realm and appeared in the outside world. Young Master Yi, this person is looking for you. When he arrived at the main hall, Yi Chenfeng saw an old woman with snow-white hair and a slightly stooped body. She looked benevolent and kind as she waited for him. Why are you looking for me? Yi Chenfeng glanced at the old woman and recognized that she had participated in the private trade fair. He guessed her intentions and asked even though he already knew the answer. Young Master, we have found the person you are looking for. I wonder if young Master would like to come with me to take a look? The white-haired old woman stood up and said softly with a kind smile. Okay, I will go with you. Yi Chenfeng nodded and said, let's go now. And, seeing that Yi Chenfeng trusted her so much, the white-haired old woman's turbid eyes shot out rays of light. Holding a snake-headed walking stick, she led Yi Chenfeng out of the lakeside mansion and went to the outskirts of the lost god city. Not here yet? Yi Chenfeng followed behind the white-haired old woman and released his powerful soul power to cover the surroundings. He found that there were many people following them along the way. His eyes revealed a trace of killing intent as he deliberately asked. Soon, the white-haired old woman said, "The person young master is looking for lives in seclusion in a relatively remote place. In order to find him, we spent a lot of effort. And, as long as you can help me find that person, that top-quality ancestral artifact is yours." Yi Chunfeng nodded and said no more. He followed the white-haired old woman, who slightly quickened her pace, and arrived at the outskirts of a mountain range that looked like a giant dragon. At the foot of the mountain range, Yi Chunfeng saw a small courtyard surrounded by ancient trees and surrounded by blooming wildflowers. Wisps of green smoke drifted in the air. The white-haired old woman pointed at the small courtyard and said slowly, "We're here. The person young master is looking for is living in seclusion in that small courtyard. 2 6-star Ancestor Realm experts, 3 5-star Ancestor Realm experts. Want to rob me with this kind of strength?" Although there were restrictions in the courtyard, Yi Chunfeng's soul power was so strong that it easily penetrated the restrictions in the courtyard and found the 5 Ancestor Realm experts hidden in the dark. Yi Chunfeng's expression did not change after discovering the ambush and did not expose it. He followed the white-haired old woman to the outside of the small courtyard. "Young master, please wait a moment. I'll go knock on the door." The white-haired old woman came to the outside of the small courtyard and gently knocked on the door. Soon, light footsteps could be heard in the courtyard. An old man dressed in a gray robe, whose appearance was somewhat similar to Shen Jiudi, and who had deliberately concealed his strength as a 6-star ancestor, broke through the restrictions in the courtyard and opened the door. "It's you. Why are you here again?" The old man glanced at the white-haired old woman and pretended to be angry. "Senior, don't be angry. There really is someone looking for you. I brought him here. Senior, see if you know him?" The white-haired old woman explained in a low voice. The old man's gaze moved and looked behind the white-haired old woman and saw a person in a white robe. Yi Chunfeng, who was handsome and tall like a pine tree, frowned slightly. "Let's go in and talk," Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. "All right, all of you come in." The old man deliberately hesitated for a moment and turned to walk into the small courtyard. When Yi Chunfeng and the white-haired old woman walked into the small courtyard, the restrictions in the courtyard were activated and directly restricted the entire space. "Junior, why are you looking for I?" The old man looked at Yi Chunfeng with his hands behind his back and asked in a domineering voice. "He's a fake, so there's no need to know so much," Yi Chunfeng said with a murderous look on his face. "Junior, what do you mean?" The old man's eyes twitched slightly and he pretended to be calm. However, the white-haired old woman's expression changed. She secretly accumulated ancestral power and was ready to deal a fatal blow to Yi Chunfeng. "Good acting, but unfortunately, you shouldn't have lied to me," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. "Stop hiding and come out." "Interesting. I didn't expect you to see through our plan." Sensing that Yi Chunfeng's aura had locked onto them, the 6-star and 5-star Ancestor Realm Almighties hiding in the dark walked out and blocked Yi Chunfeng. "If I say that I deliberately followed him here, would you believe me?" Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. "Kid, don't try to be mysterious. Hand over your treasures obediently, and we might spare your life if we're in a good mood." A 6-star Ancestor Realm Almighty in a dark blue robe with a strange totem tattooed on the left side of his face and a ferocious wolf head tattooed on his arm said fiercely, "You're just a 6-star Ancestor Realm Almighty. How dare you speak to me like that?" Yi Chunfeng's pupils constricted as a powerful aura erupted from his body and suppressed the 6-star Ancestor Realm Almighty like a mountain. After breaking through to the perfected virtual god realm, Yi Chunfeng's aura was so powerful that even a low-level virtual god could not withstand it, let alone a 6-star Ancestor Realm Almighty. Crack, crack, crack. A series of bone-chilling sounds of breaking bones rang out. The six-star ancestor realm almighty who was arrogant just now had all his bones crushed by the aura released by Yi Chunfeng. He turned into a pile of rotten meat and collapsed on the ground. What, seeing Yi Chunfeng crush a six-star ancestor realm almighty to death with his aura alone, everyone present was stunned and revealed a look of fear. As senior, please spare our lives. We know our mistake. At that moment, the white-haired old woman and the rest were very sure that Yi Chunfeng was a virtual god. They were so frightened that they knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Humans die in pursuit of wealth, and birds die in pursuit of food. The moment you wanted to rob me, you should have thought of such an ending, Yi Chunfeng said coldly. He easily controlled the white-haired old woman and the rest and used the God-Eater brain to search their souls. After searching their souls, Yi Chunfeng accidentally learned that hundreds of thousands of years ago, a great figure with great strength had come to Confusion City, and that person was suspected to be Shen Jiudi. I hope that in your next life, you can wipe your eyes and be a person. There are some people that you can't afford to offend. Chapter 2148. How was it, young Master Yi? Did you get any valuable information? Death God, who was guarding the lakeside mansion, immediately asked after seeing Yi Chunfeng return. Your master did come to the city of lost gods hundreds of thousands of years ago, but I don't know if he is still there. Yi Chunfeng slowly said. Then what should we do? The mark I left behind cannot contact my master. Death God's brows were tightly knitted together. It seems like we need to use some extreme methods. Yi Chunfeng's eyes revealed a hint of ruthlessness. What extreme methods? Death God was startled. Cause chaos in the city of lost gods and attract your master's attention. As long as your master pays attention to the chaos in the city of lost gods, I will definitely be able to find him. Although the city of lost gods was shrouded in a powerful array formation, if Shen Jiudi released his soul power, Yi Chunfeng was sure that he would be able to sense his presence. Death God, protect the Heaven Plucker and don't let anyone hurt her. Leave the rest to me. Yi Chunfeng arrogantly said, I want to turn the city of lost gods upside down. The romantic pavilion was the most famous brothel in the city of lost gods. It had the most beautiful women from various races and also served fine wine and delicacies from all over the world. It was the favorite place of the top playboys in the city of lost gods. To be qualified to enter the romantic pavilion, one needed to have a certain status besides having a high social status. Otherwise, they would not have the qualifications to enter. In the evening, Yi Chunfeng, who was wearing a dark golden robe, a golden belt around his waist, and a pair of dragon scale boots, arrived at the romantic floor, which occupied an extremely large area. It was brightly lit, and it was located next to a green bamboo forest. It was a magnificent building built in gold and jade. Looking from afar, outside of the romantic pavilion, there were 2 rows of women wearing red cheongsams. They had voluptuous figures and round legs. Every time a guest walked into the romantic floor, these women would bow in unison and greet them. As she bowed, the hollowed-out part of the red cheongsam revealed a deep white line that was very eye-catching. Stepping on the small path that was paved with cobblestones, Yi Chunfeng strolled leisurely towards the romantic pavilion, whereas under the influence of the illusory Tao insight he released, not a single guard came forward to obstruct him, and he walked into the romantic pavilion with ease. Walking into the romantic floor, the first thing that entered Yi Chunfeng's eyes was a huge fountain. Around the fountain were rare spirit flowers in full bloom. Faint spirit chi permeated from the blooming flowers, making one feel relaxed and happy. After walking into the hall, Yi Chunfeng saw a stage that floated in midair, and a woman wearing a white thin short dress was barefooted as she danced with all her might on the stage, revealing the part of her body that she was most proud of before the eyes of everyone. Her perfectly straight legs, fair and smooth back, slender willowy waist, and crystalline and translucent feet emitted enchanting charm, and the gazes of passers-by couldn't help but be drawn over. When she caught the burning gazes of everyone, the woman danced even more fiercely, wishing for nothing more than to steal away the souls of everyone. Young master, you look unfamiliar. Is it your first time coming to our romantic pavilion? When Yi Chunfeng released his powerful soul force and enveloped the entire romantic floor, a woman wearing a white qipao with lotus roots, revealing her collarbone and white cleavage. She had light makeup on her face, and her sexy waist swayed as she walked over. She gave off a faint fragrance, and her alluring red lips parted slightly as she said, "You're right. Arrange an excellent seat for me. I want to listen to Miss Shui Yu play the zither." Yi Chunfeng took out 100 top-rank Saint crystals and stuffed them into the hands of the charming woman as he spoke with an arrogant expression. Shui Yu was the courtesan queen of the romantic floor. Not only was she beautiful, but her zither skills were also superb. There were many people in Charm God City who were infatuated with her, but those who were qualified to climb into her bed could be counted on one hand. Yi Chunfeng was interested in Shui Yu not because of her beauty, but because he had heard that the son of the city lord of Charm God City, Tuoba Wanjian, had a close relationship with Shui Yu. Tuoba Wanjian often came to the romantic floor to support Shui Yu, and some people even said that Shui Yu was actually Tuoba Wanjian's lover. "Young master, are you satisfied with this place?" The charming woman arranged a seat for Yi Chunfeng near the zither hall and smiled charmingly. "Sure." Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, "Give me a pot of good wine and accompany me to drink." This, the amorous woman originally wanted to refuse, but when she saw a blood-red and extremely valuable blood jade appear in Yi Chunfeng's hand, her eyes immediately lit up. "Okay, Wan is young master's woman tonight." The charming woman accepted the blood jade and immediately ordered someone to bring over a pot of good wine. She personally poured some wine for Yi Chunfeng and drank with Yi Chunfeng with a flirtatious expression. Suddenly, a beautiful figure appeared in the zither hall, followed by a melodious sound of zither that flowed into everyone's hearts like a cheerful stream. It was so melodious that it made one's heart sway. "Sure enough, it's a beauty." Yi Chunfeng's eyes that were sharp like lightning saw Shui Yu's appearance clearly through the white veil. Even though Yi Chunfeng had seen many beauties, Yi Chunfeng had to admit that Shui Yu was extremely beautiful, especially her eyes that could release electricity, and they were even capable of instantly capturing a man's soul. Yi Chunfeng was admiring the beautiful sound of the zither while sizing up Shui Yu in secret. A 6-star ancestor realm man with firm features and gorgeous clothes and a golden crown drew Yi Chunfeng's attention. Through the conversation, Yi Chunfeng was basically sure that this person was the son of the city governor of Confusion City, Taba Wanjian. Following Tuoba Wanjian was a 2-star ancestor realm expert with a slightly pale complexion. However, he possessed an extraordinary bearing. There were special scales on his forehead, and his eyes would occasionally reveal a ruthless expression. Through the conversation between the two of them, Yi Chunfeng was surprised to find out that this person was Zhua Qulin, heaven-plucking's enemy. This Shui Yu is really a rare beauty. Seeing the main character appear, Yi Chunfeng showed a faint smile and said, "I wonder how many Saint crystals it will cost to spend a night with her." Young lord must be joking, Shui Yu only sells her art, not her body. The amorous woman was startled and explained softly. Selling her art but not her body can only mean that she doesn't have enough chips. Yi Chunfeng took a sip of wine and said, "Is 100,000 top-rank Saint crystals enough?" "Young lord, this..." The amorous woman raised her brow, not expecting Yi Chunfeng to be so forthright, but thinking about the relationship between Shui Yu and Taba Wanjian, she was a little embarrassed. "1,000,000 top-rank Saint crystals, I'll buy her for a night." Yi Chunfeng put down the green wine cup in his hand and said in a rich and overbearing manner, "1,000,000 top-rank Saint crystals." The amorous woman gasped. "After it's done, I'll give you another 100,000 top-rank Saint crystals." Seeing the amorous woman's heart wavering, Yi Chunfeng struck while the iron was hot. "Okay, I'll do my best to arrange it, but Shui Yu's identity is a little special, so whether it succeeds or not, young lord must keep it a secret. The amorous woman gently bit her seductive red lips and said, "Of course." Yi Chunfeng said with a smile, "I don't think anyone would be willing to publicize this kind of thing." Saying so, Yi Chunfeng took out a universe ring with 30,000 top-rank saint crystals and handed it to the amorous woman. "Thank you, young lord. I'll definitely send Shuiyu to your bed tonight." Sensing the number of top-rank saint crystals in the universe ring, the amorous woman was overjoyed and excitedly kissed Yi Chunfeng's cheek and promised softly, "Chaos, I'll make Confusion City fall into chaos tonight." Chapter 2149. Young Master, everything has been arranged. Please come with me. Yi Chunfeng drank as he listened to the zither. After waiting for about an incense stick's worth of time, the flirtatious woman returned, swaying her sexy waist. She brought him to a luxuriously decorated room with precious spirit stones embedded in the walls. It was an antique room with snowy characters. "Young Master, Shuiyu might come later. Why don't I give young master a massage first to relax?" The flirtatious woman's red lips parted slightly as she looked at Yi Chunfeng with a gentle gaze. "No need, I'll just wait for Shuiyu." Yi Chunfeng met the flirtatious woman's eyes and slowly said. As he spoke, illusory light passed through Yi Chunfeng's eyes and entered the flirtatious woman's eyes, instantly taking control of her mind. Yi Chunfeng planned to use her mouth to spread the news of his one-night stand with Shuiyu. This would infuriate Tuoba Wanjian and the others and force them to take action. Then, he would draw out the people from the City Lord's mansion and cause chaos in Lost God City. Although this was a little troublesome, it was also the safest because Yi Chunfeng had once approached the City Lord's mansion and discovered that the ancestral land in the City Lord's mansion had fused with the massive array diagram that enveloped Lost God City. Once activated, it would be enough to threaten his life. Thus, if he wanted to take action against the City Lord's mansion, drawing them out would be the safest option. After the flirtatious woman left, Yi Chunfeng drank while waiting. About 2 hours later, the closed door was pushed open. Shuiyu, who wore a white lotus root qipao that accentuated her seductive figure, had light makeup on her face, which made her look charming. As she walked, her legs would occasionally reveal her mesmerizing pink flesh. Shuiyu walked into the snow bedroom. Seeing Yi Chunfeng drinking alone, Shuiyu put down the zither in her hands and smiled gently at Yi Chunfeng. Her voice was charming as she said, "Young master, why are you drinking alone? Did you not find someone to accompany you?" Yi Chunfeng looked at Shuiyu's delicate face and said with a smile, "I came especially for you, so I naturally have to be a little more devoted." "It is your honor to hear that." Shuiyu slowly sat in front of Yi Chunfeng. She gently fiddled with the long hair hanging in front of her chest and said, "Young master must be tired. Why don't you let turn on the water and help young master bathe and relax?" "There's no rush." Yi Chunfeng said he wasn't in a hurry, but he still hugged Shuiyu's soft body in his arms, causing her to let out a soft cry as her face turned red. Just as Shuiyu was looking at Yi Chunfeng affectionately, waiting for him to make his next move, someone tore through the restrictions outside and broke in. "Who are you? Why are you disturbing our mood?" Yi Chunfeng gently hugged Shuiyu's soft body as he looked at the furious Tuoba Wanjian and the others. "Didn't you say you weren't feeling well today? Why are you here entertaining guests? I'm going to beat you to death today." Seeing the intimacy between the two of them, Tuoba Wanjian was enraged. He roared furiously and his killing intent soared. No, Wanjian, listen to my explanation." Shuiyu didn't expect that Tuoba Wanjian, who should have left, would actually return. She was so frightened that her face turned pale. She kept thinking of what to say. "Explain? Why do you need to explain to him?" Yi Chunfeng sneered and said, "Love between a man and a woman is human nature. Moreover, I've spent money. You're mine tonight. You're courting death." Tuoba Wanjian roared furiously. An extremely sharp sword that had reached the level of a top-quality ancestral artifact broke out of his body and slashed at Yi Chunfeng with an ear-piercing sword hum. "Humph, you want to hurt me with a top-quality ancestral artifact?" Yi Chunfeng snorted coldly. He gently extended a finger and tapped on the sharp tip of the top-quality ancestral artifact. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Yi Chunfeng's finger attack caused the top-quality ancestral artifact to tremble violently. The artifact's spirit within the ancestral artifact was also tapped by Yi Chunfeng's finger, greatly reducing the power of the top-quality ancestral artifact. "Young Master Tuoba, this person is not simple. You must be careful." Zhuo Qiulin's expression changed slightly when he saw the scene of Yi Chunfeng knocking back the top-quality ancestral artifact with a single finger. "What's there to be afraid of? My Tuoba clan is the ruler of Confusion City," Tuoba Wanjian said arrogantly. He summoned another top-quality ancestral artifact and attacked Yi Chunfeng. "Beauty, obediently wait for me on the bed. After I've dealt with them, we'll have another night together." Yi Chunfeng smiled and threw the pale Shuiyu onto the soft red bed. Then, he threw 2 overbearing punches at the 2 incoming top-quality ancestral sword. Although Yi Chunfeng had only used 10% of his strength, this 10% was not something that the top-quality ancestral swords could withstand. After receiving 2 punches from Yi Chunfeng, the 2 top-quality ancestral swords were blasted away. Clear cracks spread on the surface of the swords. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of the 6-star ancestor realm Tuoba Wanjian. He raised his hand and ruthlessly slapped Tuoba Wanjian's left cheek. Tuoba Wanjian was sent flying with a single slap. His entire body heavily smashed into the wall in the distance, causing numerous cracks to appear on the incomparably hard wall. After sending Tuoba Wanjian flying with a single slap, Yi Chunfeng's hands grabbed Zhuo Qiulin's neck at lightning speed. He instantly restrained Zhuo Qiulin and raised him high in the air. "No, don't kill me. I am the young master of the Zhuoqiu clan. If you kill me, my father will definitely not let you off." Zhuo Qiulin did not expect to encounter such an unexpected calamity. Facing an enemy that he could not defeat, he became timid and immediately used the Zhuoqiu clan to pressure Yi Chunfeng. "Don't worry, I won't kill you. Your life has long been predetermined by someone else." Yi Chunfeng revealed a trace of a cold smile. After knocking Zhuo Qiulin unconscious, he kept him into the universe realm. Step by step, he walked towards Tuoba Wanjian with heavy step. "I'll kill you." Tuoba Wanjian instantly ignited his powerful bloodline power and fused 2 of his trump cards to raise his combat strength to the limit. He summoned the 6 top-quality ancestral swords that had fused into his body and slashed towards Yi Chunfeng. As the 6 top-quality ancestral swords slashed over, numerous Dao insights gushed out from Tuoba Wanjian's body and instantly transformed into a giant hand that blotted out the sky. It grabbed the 6 top-quality ancestral swords that were slashing towards him. Ka ka ka! Following that, a series of ear-piercing shattering sounds resounded. Yi Chunfeng deduced the Dao insights and transformed the giant hand that blotted out the sky to directly crush the 6 top-quality ancestral sword. This scene completely frightened Tuoba Wanjian. "You? Who exactly are you?" After witnessing Yi Chunfeng's terrifying combat strength, Tuoba Wanjian no longer had his previous arrogance and spoke in horror. "Who I am is not important. What's important is that if you don't ask for help, you won't be able to see the sun tomorrow," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. You? What exactly are you trying to do?" Tuoba Wanjian wasn't a fool and saw through Yi Chunfeng's suspicions. "You talk too much nonsense." Yi Chunfeng's body flashed and appeared in front of Tuoba Wanjian like lightning. He released his powerful physical strength and easily controlled Tuoba Wanjian. "Gotcha!" Yi Chunfeng stomped down and directly crushed Tuoba Wanjian's ankle. The immense pain caused Tuoba Wanjian to howl like a pig being slaughtered, startling the entire romantic floor. Stop. Quickly release young Master Tuoba. Otherwise, I will make sure you die without a burial ground. The experts of the romantic floor, who had rushed over after hearing the news, saw that Tuoba Wanjian was in danger and immediately became nervous and shouted loudly. Scram! Yi Chenfeng's eyes narrowed, and a powerful sound wave shot out from his mouth, forming a turbulent air current. The air current violently smashed into the bodies of the romantic floor's guards, sending them flying. The news of Tuoba Wanjian's danger had also been transmitted to the Lord of the Lost God City through the romantic floor. Just you wait. My father will definitely avenge me. Tuoba Wanjian, who was in so much pain, crushed a communication crystal and stared at Yi Chenfeng with blood-red eyes as he spoke while gnashing his teeth. Is that so? I'll wait. Chapter 2150. You. Who are you? I have no enmity with you. Why do you want to harm me? Shuiyu, who was curled up at the foot of the bed, looked at the proud and aloof Yi Chenfeng, who seemed to have turned into a different person. I'm sorry, but I'll give you this universe ring. The treasures in it are enough for you to cultivate to the ancestor realm. Yi Chenfeng looked at the pale Shuiyu and gave her a universe ring. He said, Confusion City is about to descend into chaos. If you want to protect yourself, you had better take advantage of the chaos to leave. As he spoke, several terrifying auras appeared, and they flew toward the romantic floor at an extremely high speed. They are finally here. Yi Chenfeng's eyes lit up when he sensed the auras of the two empty gods. He quickly carried the unconscious Tuoba Wanjian out of the window and appeared under the bright moonlight. Let go of my son, or I'll turn you into ashes. A furious roar came from afar. The roar was so loud that it shook half of Confusion City and woke many people up from their cultivation. Give me 100 million supreme sacred crystals and I'll let him go. Yi Chenfeng raised the unconscious Tuoba Wanjian high in the air. Then, he looked at the furious Tuoba Weihai and the Tuoba clan's elders and demanded an exorbitant price. Who is this person? How dare he blackmail the Tuoba family governor? I don't know. I've never seen him before. However, he is not far from death for blackmailing the Tuoba family in Confusion City. I don't know what this person is relying on to provoke the Tuoba family. This has not happened for hundreds of thousands of years. When they saw Yi Chenfeng blackmailing the Tuoba family in public, they were alarmed and rushed over. They hid in the distance and discussed among themselves. Do you want to die? Tuoba Weihai's eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at Yi Chenfeng. He could not control the killing intent in his heart. Die. Yi Chenfeng smiled and said, I only know that if you don't agree to my request, he will definitely die. I can't take out 100 million top-rank Saint crystals. Tuoba Weihai suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, Sigh, I didn't expect City Lord Tuoba to have a heart of stone, treating worldly possessions as more important than his own son. Yi Chenfeng sighed softly and said, In that case, let me send your son to the afterlife. Wait. I'll give you 100 million top-rank Saint crystals. Tuoba Wanjian's talent was extremely high and was chosen by Tuoba Weihai as his successor. Seeing that Yi Chenfeng was really going to kill Tuoba Wanjian, Tuoba Weihai's heart tightened as he quickly shouted, My patience is limited. He only has half an hour to live. After half an hour, if I don't see 100 million top-rank Saint crystals, I'll crush his head. Yi Chenfeng warned coldly. Go to the City Lord's mansion and take out 100 million top-rank Saint crystals. Although the Tuoba family was the overlord of bewitching God City, asking them to take out 100 million top-rank Saint crystals would still hurt them greatly. However, in Tuoba Weihai's opinion, as long as he could exchange for Tuoba Wanjian, he could kill Yi Chenfeng in minutes and take back the 100 million top-rank Saint crystals. Soon, the two peak ancestor realm masters flew back to the city lord's mansion, took out 10 heavy universe rings, and handed them to Yi Chenfeng. City Lord Tuoba is really rich. Yi Chenfeng released his powerful soul force into the 10 universe rings and said with a faint smile, "I fulfilled my promise and saved his life." After saying that, Yi Chenfeng raised his leg and kicked the unconscious Tuoba Wanjian toward Tuoba Weihai, whose expression was as gloomy as water and whose eyes flickered with a ferocious light. He really let him go. Is this person really stupid, or does he have something to rely on? Let's continue watching. I feel like a good show is about to unfold. Seeing Yi Chenfeng take 100 million top-rank Saint Crystals and really let Tuoba Wanjian go, many people revealed looks of disbelief and were looking forward to the development of the situation. "I'll take your life." After saving Tuoba Wanjian, Tuoba Weihai stored him in his spatial treasure. Then, with a furious roar, he summoned a huge saber that weighed several tens of billions of kilograms and had Qilin markings on it. Then, he chopped it down at Yi Chenfeng with a might that could split the heavens and earth. "Sigh, I didn't mean to be enemies with City Lord Tuoba. Why do you have to force me?" Yi Chenfeng sighed softly and summoned the creation divine weapon he obtained from killing Supreme Emperor Heaven to block Tuoba Weihai's furious saber. Boom! When the two divine weapons collided in the night sky, there were dazzling sparks. It was as if a red sun had appeared in the night sky and lit up half of Bewitching City. Although Yi Chenfeng had deliberately concealed his strength, the power of the creation divine weapon was great. After taking the blow head-on, the furious Tuoba Weihai was sent flying and his arms went numb. Late empty god realm. Tuoba Weihai's face changed as he was shocked by Yi Chenfeng's terrifying combat strength. However, what he didn't know was that Yi Chenfeng had deliberately lowered his cultivation level. His real cultivation level was Great Completion Empty God Realm. Sure enough, this person's strength is terrifying. The Tuoba family has kicked an iron plate. Witnessing the scene of Yi Chenfeng forcing Tuoba Weihai back with one strike, the experts of the various major powers who were watching from afar revealed shocked expressions. There were even many clans who had a bad relationship with the Tuoba family who rejoiced in the misfortune of Yi Chenfeng. "City Lord Tuoba, are you still going to stop me?" Looking at Tuoba Weihai's gloomy face, Yi Chenfeng put his hands behind his back and said arrogantly, "No one can challenge the Tuoba family in Bewitching City, not even if you are a late empty god realm master. You will die today." Although Yi Chenfeng's combat strength was beyond his expectations, Tuoba Weihai didn't back down. With a mental thought, he summoned an octagonal array disc and placed it on his forehead. In the next moment, a huge array map that covered Bewitching City appeared. A large number of array inscriptions poured down like a waterfall and surged into the array disc that appeared on Tuoba Weihai's forehead. In the blink of an eye, Tuoba Weihai's strength had surpassed the intermediate empty god realm and reached the late empty god realm. His combat strength was almost on par with Yi Chenfeng's when he had suppressed his strength. With the increase in his combat strength, Tuoba Weihai raised his Wei essence to the maximum and turned it into a vast ocean. He was like the master of the godly ocean as he slashed at Yi Chenfeng with his Kylin sword. Roar! With a slash, the terrifying sword essence merged with the Wei essence of the vast ocean. It was like a roaring Kylin as it slashed at Yi Chenfeng. "Since you don't want to give up, don't blame me for being rude." Yi Chenfeng kept his destiny weapon and burned his primordial blood. In an instant, his strength increased to 100 trillion jin. He then swung his chaos fist that was comparable to an empty god weapon to meet Tuoba Weihai's attack. With a single punch, the space shattered. The fist radiance that was more than 100 trillion jin of force shattered the layers of space and shattered Tuoba Weihai's Kylin sword radiance. The terrifying force pushed Tuoba Weihai back once again. Gosh! Who is this person? Why is his combat strength so terrifying? Yeah. He broke the Kylan's sword with his bare hands. This person is definitely not a nobody in the empty god world. Time stopped. After pushing Tuoba Wei Hai back with a single punch, Yi Chunfeng took a step forward and crossed a few thousand meters in an instant. He appeared in front of Tuoba Wei Hai, who was shocked. Before Tuoba Wei Hai could attack, Yi Chunfeng suddenly stopped time. What? Tuoba Wei Hai's heart was in turmoil when he suddenly couldn't move. He looked at Yi Chunfeng with fear in his eyes. Chapter 2151. Slapped. Tuoba City Governor has been slapped in front of everyone. This person has humiliated Tuoba City Governor. He is going to fight to the death with the Tuoba family. Witnessing the scene before them, the surrounding crowd was shocked. They all admired Yi Chunfeng's courage. Little bastard, I will destroy you. As the master of the lost city, Tuoba Wei Hai had never been humiliated like this. Yi Chunfeng's action was worse than killing him. He roared furiously and burned his powerful bloodline. He charged towards Yi Chunfeng like a madman. When he approached Yi Chunfeng with a murderous aura, Yi Chunfeng froze the space again and forcibly froze him in midair. Then, Yi Chunfeng raised his palm and slapped Tuoba Wei Hai's cheek, sending him flying. A large amount of blood flowed uncontrollably from the corner of his mouth. What is going on? Why did Tuoba City Governor not move when he was close to that person? I don't know. The Tuoba family should not be masochistic. Governor, are you okay? Several Tuoba family experts quickly came to Tuoba Wei Hai's side and fed him a supreme-grade ancestor elixir as they asked anxiously, "What are you waiting for? Attack together. Today, I will turn this little bastard into ashes." Tuoba Wei Hai ordered angrily as he healed his injuries and fixed his sunken cheek. "Set up the array." Hearing Tuoba Wei Hai's order, with a low-level virtual god as the leader and several peak ancestor realm almighties as the support, they quickly set up an extremely powerful ancient formation and locked onto Yi Chunfeng. When the ancient array was activated, it immediately connected with the huge array in the void and merged with the array to increase the power of the ancient array. 3000 Transformation Divine Fist. Yi Chunfeng glanced at the ancient array and suddenly appeared in front of it. He instantly raised his strength to the maximum and blasted out 3000 invincible divine fists at the ancient array. They destroyed the power of the ancient array and shook it violently. Puff, puff. Yi Chunfeng's battle prowess was too terrifying. He took the 3000 transformation divinity fist head-on, causing several peak ancestor realm experts to vomit blood continuously. A large number of cracks appeared on the ancient formation that connected to the array diagram. Desolate Fist. Yi Chunfeng did not give them any chance to catch their breath. He instantly fused with the desolate domain, and his strength increased to over 200 trillion gene. He threw out a punch that wanted to pierce through the sky. As he punched out, the potential of the great desolate physique was unleashed. The long tail of the terrifying fist light was like the roar of a divine dragon. It ruthlessly bombarded the ancient formation that was full of cracks. Boom! The ancient formation trembled violently as it was blasted apart by the tyrannical primordial fist. The terrifying fist radiance carried a suffocating power as it directly blasted several peak ancestor powerhouses away, causing them to fall into various buildings. It even caused the low-level virtual gods to retreat step by step as their blood splattered across the sky. Strong, that person is too strong. Heavens, does that person want to create history and change the structure of the lost god city? How can it be so simple to change the situation? The Tuoba family has more than one late-stage nihility god powerhouse. That's right, the lost god city has stood tall in the nihility god world for countless years. Even the sky race could not devour it. How can he change it? Although the experts of various major forces who were watching the battle from afar were shocked by Yi Chunfeng's terrifying battle strength, no one was optimistic about him. They believed that once he angered the Tuoba family and drew out the old ancestor of the Tuoba family, who was in seclusion, Yi Chunfeng would undoubtedly die. Lost God's Saber Art. When Yi Chunfeng broke the ancient formation with his most tyrannical stance, Tuoba Weihai used a sharp saber art to slash at him. Once the saber art slashed out, it produced a large number of illusions that constantly tugged at one's soul. It was impossible to guard against. Creation Sword Spirit Break. Yi Chunfeng was not affected by the lost god's saber art at all. With a thought, the creation sword spirit flew out of his sea of soul and intertwined with tens of thousands of sword radiances. It tore apart the lost god's saber art and slashed at the Qilin saber into Oba Weihai's hand. The terrifying sword power forced him back a few meters. What grade of sword spirit is this? Feeling the destructive power from the creation sword spirit, Tuoba Weihai's face changed slightly and revealed a grave expression. Lost God Ancient Seal. With a thought, Tuoba Weihai summoned an illusory ancient seal that was constantly changing its form. This ancient seal was the Tuoba family's greatest treasure. Its power was almost at the pinnacle of nihility god artifact, and it had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Kid, go and die. Tuoba Weihai spat out a few mouthfuls of his life's blood into the lost god ancient seal and activated its strongest power. It turned into a small mountain that could suppress the heavens and earth and smashed towards Yi Chunfeng. As the lost god ancient seal smashed down, an ancient seal with the word lost appeared and affected Yi Chunfeng's soul, creating a large number of illusions in his mind. However, Yi Chunfeng had the God-Eater brain in his sea of soul, and it was completely unaffected by the lost god ancient seal. Under the control of Yi Chunfeng's thoughts, the creation sword spirit turned into a giant sword that tore open the heavens and slashed at the lost god ancient seal. It shattered the attack of the lost god ancient seal and forced it back. What? Tuoba Weihai knew the power of the lost god ancient seal, and he couldn't believe that Yi Chunfeng's sword spirit could shake the lost god ancient seal. While he was still in shock, Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of him again and launched a ferocious attack at him. They engaged in an intense battle under the night sky. Although Yi Chunfeng had intentionally concealed his strength, his battle prowess was still terrifying. The intense battle between him and Tuoba Weihai caused a great deal of destruction. The buildings that were shrouded in restrictions collapsed one after another. Strange, did Shen Jiudi really leave? While Yi Chunfeng and Tuoba Weihai were engaged in an intense battle, he controlled his soul power and quickly deduced. It covered an area and he could sense the aura around him. However, after more than an hour, he still couldn't sense the aura of a peak empty god realm expert. This made him suspect that Shen Jiudi had already left Lost God City. Lost God Ancient Seal, destroy everything. His attacks were completely suppressed by Yi Chunfeng. Tuoba Weihai, who was constantly communicating with the array, kept spitting his life's blood into the Lost God Ancient Seal to activate the power of the Lost God Ancient Seal. He wanted to borrow the power of the Ancient Seal to reverse the situation. However, regardless of battle prowess or foundation, he was far from Yi Chunfeng. He had used all his means, but he still couldn't change the situation. Forget it, let's suppress the Lost God Ancient Seal first. Unable to sense Shen Jiudi, Yi Chunfeng, who was gradually losing his patience, decided to use his absolute strength to suppress the Lost God Ancient Seal. Chaos Law Phase, suppress for me. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Chaos Law Phase and attacked the Lost God Ancient Seal, using all its strength to suppress it. No, this is impossible. Under the full suppression of the Chaos Law Phase, Tuoba Weihai was shocked to find that his connection with the Lost God Ancient Seal was getting weaker and weaker. This made him reveal a look of disbelief, and he wanted to quickly retrieve the Lost God Ancient Seal. Time stop. Just as he was communicating with the Lost God Ancient Seal, Yi Chunfeng suddenly stopped time and raised his right hand again, sending him flying with a slap. following which, Yi Chunfeng flew up high and stomped down with his tyrannical leg. It evolved into a supreme great Tao and ruthlessly stomped on to Oba Weihai's body, causing him to fall to the ground from mid-air with blood dripping everywhere. Chaos Law Phase Suppress. After severely injuring Tuoba Weihai, Yi Chunfeng and the Chaos Law Phase used all their strength to suppress the Lost God Ancient Seal, forcefully sealing the Tuoba family's greatest treasure. 3 days later, I will auction the Lost God Ancient Seal in the Heaven Immortal Tower. No matter who it is, as long as they can take out something I like, I will sell the Lost God Ancient Seal to them. After sealing the Lost God Ancient Seal, Yi Chunfeng didn't leave immediately. Instead, he stood in the air and overlooked the entire Lost God City as he spoke in a domineering manner. Hua! A single sentence caused 1,000 ripples. Chapter 2152. Young Master Yi, you've returned. Have you noticed my master's aura? When Yi Chunfeng walked through the night and returned to the lakeside mansion, the Grim Reaper walked over and asked in a low voice. Alas, I still haven't. Yi Chunfeng sighed lightly and said, Perhaps your master has already left Lost God City. Right? Has Planner come out of seclusion? Young Miss Planner has already come out of seclusion and is waiting for you in the bedroom, said the Grim Reaper. All right, go cultivate. If there's no news of your master within 10 days, then we'll leave Lost God City. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Chunfeng arrived at the bedroom and saw Planner with delicate skin that was as tempting as a peach. Chunfeng, where have you been? Planner looked at Yi Chunfeng with tender feelings and asked in a low voice. I'm here, Planner. Come with me. With a command of his mind, Yi Chunfeng brought Planner to the universe mirror and saw the unconscious Zhuoqiulin on the ground. Zhuoqiulin. Planner's eyes instantly turned blood red when he saw the enemy that killed his master, and dense killing intent emanated from his body. Chunfeng, capture him for me. I originally wanted to make a move against Tuoba Wanjian, but I never expected that the two of them would be together, so I captured him. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, Planner, I'll wake him up now so that you can personally avenge your master. All right. Heaven Thief nodded and took out a sharp dagger. Where am I? Zhuoqiulin slowly opened his eyes after being awakened by Yi Chunfeng. When he saw Yi Chunfeng and Planner, all the hairs on his body stood on end. No, don't kill me. I beg you, please don't kill me. So long as you spare my life, I guarantee that the Zhuoqiu clan will give you endless saint crystals to spend. I just extorted 100 million top-grade saint crystals from the Tuoba clan, so I still need your Zhuoqiu clan's saint crystals, said Yi Chunfeng indifferently. What? Zhuoqiulin was stunned. Zhuoqiulin, I once swore on my master's grave that I would definitely kill you to avenge my master. Die. Heaven Plunderer held a sharp dagger and stabbed at the heavily injured Zhuoqiulin, who was suppressed by the universe realm. Puff, puff. Zhuoqiulin's body was pierced through by the Heaven Plucker. A large amount of blood spurted out. He was in so much pain that he was hovering between life and death. He kept howling in pain. As Zhuoqiulin struggled with all his might, the dagger in Heaven Plunderer's hand slashed across his neck and chopped off his head. His soul wasn't spared either. Heaven Plunderer grabbed it and crushed it. Do you feel better? Yi Chunfeng said softly as he watched the Heaven Plucker crush Zhuoqiulin's soul to avenge her master. Dying like this is too easy for him. Although Heaven Pilfer had killed Zhuoqiulin, he still couldn't vent his anger at the thought of his master's miserable state. Let's go. Let's go to the Zhuoqiu clan and destroy them. Yi Chunfeng held Heaven Plunderer's little hand and left the universe realm. They stepped into the dark night and headed to the Zhuoqiu clan's mansion in the western part of the city. It was built like a palace. Stop. Who are you? What are you doing in the Zhuoqiu clan's mansion in the middle of the night? The Zhuoqiu clan's guards who were guarding the mansion immediately became alert when they saw Yi Chunfeng and Heaven Plunderer walking in the dark night. They questioned loudly. We are here to send Zhuoqiulin home. With that, A bloody head appeared in Yi Chenfeng's hand, and he threw it at the guard. Why, young master! Young master is dead! The guards were all dumbfounded when they saw Zhuoqiu Lin's head. They cried out in alarm and immediately alarmed the entire Zhuoqiu clan. Young Master Lin! The Zhuoqiu clan's old butler was furious when he saw the head in the guard's hand. He looked at Yi Chenfeng and Heaven Plunder and said, "You killed young Master Lin." "That's right." Yi Chenfeng nodded and said, "I killed him. If you want revenge, then come at me." "Good, good, good. My Zhuoqiu clan has stood tall in Lost God City for countless years. You are the first person who dares to provoke us," Zhuoqiu clan's old butler said with a murderous look in his eyes. Someone else said the same thing. Unfortunately, he was sent flying by my slap again and again. Yi Chenfeng smiled and said indifferently, "Sent flying? You are the person who fought with City Lord Tuoba." The battle between Yi Chenfeng and Tuoba Wei Hai had alarmed the entire Lost God City. The Zhuoqiu clan's almighty had even gone to watch. After hearing Yi Chenfeng's words, Zhuoqiu clan's old butler immediately thought of Yi Chenfeng's identity. "That's right, it's me." Yi Chenfeng nodded and said, "All right, let's cut the crap. Come at me together." "Young master, my Zhuoqiu clan has never offended you. Why do you have to force us?" Yi Chenfeng could even defeat Tuoba Wei Hai. The Zhuoqiu clan was definitely no match for him. After confirming Yi Chenfeng's identity, Zhuoqiu clan's old butler's murderous intent was immediately replaced by fear. "All right, I am an easy person. I don't want to make things difficult for you, nor do I want to start a massacre. Let me destroy the Zhuoqiu clan's residence, and we will leave immediately," Yi Chenfeng said indifferently. "Forgive my Zhuoqiu clan for not agreeing to your request." A deep voice sounded, and a thin old man in a gray robe, who seemed to be too weak to stand up to a gust of wind, appeared in the dark night. "Ancestor!" Everyone from the Zhuoqiu clan bowed when they saw the old man in the gray robe. "Middle-level empty god." Yi Chenfeng smiled faintly when he sensed the old man's strength. "I didn't expect the Zhuoqiu clan to have hidden talents. However, compared to Tuoba Wei Hai, you are still too weak. I hope you won't force me to kill you." "Is that so?" The old man in the gray robe narrowed his eyes and said, "I don't believe you. I would like to have a taste of your skills." "If that's the case, go ahead. If I can't defeat you in 3 punches, consider it my loss," Yi Chenfeng said arrogantly. Presumptuous. The old man in the gray robe was highly respected. When had he ever been looked down upon? He roared and merged with the Zhuoqiu clan's ancestral bloodline. He forcefully raised his combat strength to the peak of middle-level empty god. "I'm done counting. First punch," Yi Chenfeng instructed coldly. He unleashed a force of more than 1 trillion jin and threw a punch at the old man in the gray robe. The space in front of the old man in the gray robe shattered and turned into a vacuum. The terrifying force made it difficult for the old man in the gray robe to breathe. He had to use the power of the ancestral bloodline to defend himself. Boom! After taking Yi Chenfeng's punch head-on, the old man in the gray robe was forced to retreat. His arms cracked open and blood spurted out from his mouth, dyeing his snow-white beard red. Second punch. Before the old man in the gray robe had a chance to catch his breath, Yi Chenfeng stomped on the ground. He merged his powerful Dao intent and threw out a second punch. The terrifying fist radiance was like a roaring dragon. It let out a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar as it blasted towards the old man in the gray robe, who had summoned a pseudo-void god artifact to defend himself. Under the punch, the spear-shaped pseudo-void god artifact broke. The terrifying fist radiance landed on the old man in the gray robe and sent him flying. He let out a blood-curdling scream and flew a few thousand meters away. He fell into the pitch-black backyard of the Zhuoqiu clan. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Gulp. After witnessing Yi Chenfeng severely injuring a peak middle-level empty god with 2 punches, the experts of the Zhuoqiu clan were stunned. They looked at Yi Chunfeng with fear in their eyes. No one dared to attack, and they all retreated. From today onwards, there will be no more Zhuoqiu clan in Confusion City. Yi Chunfeng announced the fate of the Zhuoqiu clan. Under the destruction of Yi Chunfeng and Plunder Heaven, the Zhuoqiu clan that had been established for countless years in Confusion City was destroyed. Chapter 2153. Heaven Plucker, you should be able to vent your anger now, right? After returning to the lakeside mansion, Yi Chunfeng looked at Heaven Plucker with tears in her beautiful eyes as he spoke softly. Heaven Plucker threw herself into Yi Chunfeng's embrace, tightly hugging his strong waist as she said gratefully, "Chunfeng, thank you. If I didn't meet you, I think I wouldn't be able to avenge my master in this lifetime." Yi Chunfeng gently stroked Heaven Plucker's silky long hair and said softly, "All right, just follow me obediently in the future. With me around, I won't let anyone bully you." And Heaven Plucker nodded. However, when she thought of how outstanding Yi Chunfeng was, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. At the same time, she also made up her mind. "Chunfeng, it's getting late. Let's go back to our room and rest." Heaven Plucker gently stood on her tiptoes and placed her soft lips beside Yi Chunfeng's ear as she spoke in a flirtatious voice. Touching the gentleness in Heaven Plucker's eyes and seeing the deep meaning in her eyes, Yi Chunfeng's heart couldn't help but tremble. He gently hugged her soft body and returned to the bedroom to study divine arts with her. Amidst their joy, he forced the pill poison in his body into her body, increasing the power of her innate poison physique. Yi Chunfeng hid in the room and cultivated divine arts with Heaven Plucker to eliminate the pill poison in his body. The entire Lost God City fell into a huge commotion because of Yi Chunfeng. Especially when the Zhuoqiu clan was annihilated last night, it enraged many big shots in Lost God City. However, Yi Chunfeng's combat strength was too terrifying, causing the big shots in Lost God City to have misgivings. No one was willing to be the first to deal with him. They were all waiting for the Tuoba clan's revenge. And the news that Yi Chunfeng was preparing to sell the God Confusion Ancient Seal in the Heaven Immortal Tower caused a huge commotion. For a time, Yi Chunfeng became the absolute focus of Lost God City. Almost every day there would be many people talking about him. Soon, it was the day Yi Chunfeng agreed to auction the God Confusion Ancient Seal in the Heaven Immortal Tower. With Heaven's stealing entanglement, after 3 days, the pill poison in Yi Chunfeng's body was almost completely removed, and Heaven Plucker, who had fused with a large amount of pill poison, miraculously broke through to the 3-star Tao God realm. "Heaven Plunderer, wait for me here with the Grim Reaper. I'll be back after selling the God Confusion Ancient Seal." Yi Chunfeng gently kissed Heaven Plunderer's smooth forehead and said softly, "Chunfeng, why must you sell this ancient seal? Isn't it better to keep it for yourself?" Void God artifacts were rare in the Void God world. Moreover, the God Confusion Ancient Seal was an ultimate Void God artifact. Plundering Heaven asked in confusion, "Although the God Confusion Ancient Seal is precious, it isn't of much help to me. But if the big shots in God Confusion City can't take out something that I like, I won't trade for the God Confusion Ancient Seal at a low price." Yi Chunfeng explained. "Chunfeng, just what level have you cultivated to?" Heaven Plunderer asked curiously. "Great Circle of the Nihility God Realm." Yi Chunfeng did not hide anything and said frankly. "Great Circle of the Nihility God Realm." Heaven Plunderer sucked in a breath of cold air. She couldn't figure out what Yi Chunfeng had experienced all these years and why his cultivation speed was so shocking. "All right, Heaven Plunderer, it's getting late. I'll take my leave first. Cultivate well and strive to break through to the Ancestor Realm." Yi Chunfeng left Heaven Plunderer with a precious chaos divine fruit and left the warm bedroom. Stepping on the sunset, he arrived at the center of the city. It was an antique building with a small bridge and flowing water outside. The scenery was elegant. "That person is here." The big shots in God Confusion City had arrived early. When they saw Yi Chunfeng outside the Heaven Immortal Tower, it instantly caused a commotion. Yi Chunfeng's expression didn't change as he felt the many pairs of eyes on him. He casually strolled to the top floor of the Heaven Immortal Tower. City Lord Tuoba, I didn't expect you to be here too. Looking at the ashen-faced Tuoba Weihai who had recovered from his injuries, Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile. If the Tuoba family's sincerity can move me, I'm willing to exchange the God Confusion Ancient Seal with you. How about 10 Nihility Divine Pills in exchange for the God Confusion Ancient Seal? The God Confusion Ancient Seal was extremely important to the Tuoba family. If it was lost, it would greatly affect the Tuoba family's overall strength. In order to redeem the God Confusion Ancient Seal, Tuoba Weihai had no choice but to take out 10 incomparably precious Nihility Divine Pills to trade with Yi Chunfeng. If it's 10 Creation Divine Pills, I can consider it. But 10 Nihility Divine Pills is out of the question. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and rejected directly. Do you really want to become enemies with my Tuoba family? Tuoba Weihai spat out a mouthful of stuffy air. His eyes were spitting fire as he looked at Yi Chunfeng and gritted his teeth. If looks could kill, Yi Chunfeng would have been melted by the flames spewing out from Tuoba Weihai's eyes. Aren't we already enemies? Yi Chunfeng ignored Tuoba Weihai's furious gaze and said nonchalantly, Cut the crap. If you can't show me your sincerity, I can only trade with someone else. Tuoba Weihai felt as though his lungs were about to explode from anger. However, his combat strength was far inferior to Yi Chunfeng's. He would only humiliate himself if he made a move blindly. Junior, what do you think of this item? A red-faced old man in a black robe stood beside Tuoba Weihai. He had a long white beard and was wearing a long black robe. He took out a brocade box that was sealed with layers of restrictions. When he broke the restrictions and opened the brocade box, a powerful dragon's aura spread out. What a terrifying dragon's aura! What's in that brocade box? Sensing the increasingly powerful dragon's aura, many people were fearful. Some people's legs went soft and they almost couldn't stand. The eye of the ancestral dragon. Yi Chunfeng glanced at the brocade box and found an extremely rare and precious eye of the ancestral dragon inside. The black-robed old man slowly said, How about it? My Tuoba clan is willing to use 10 hollow spirit pills and this eye of the ancestral dragon to trade for the God Confusion Ancient Seal. Not interested. Not to mention that Yi Chunfeng had the eye of the ancestral dragon, just its power alone couldn't compare to the God Confusion Ancient Seal. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and continued to refuse. Then what about these items? Seeing Yi Chunfeng refuse without any hesitation, Tuoba Weihai, the black-robed old man, and the others became even more unsightly. They communicated through voice transmissions and took out precious treasures one after another in order to redeem the God Confusion Ancient Seal. Sigh, this is the foundation of the number 1 clan in the City of Confusion? This is too disappointing. Yi Chunfeng gently sighed and said, If you can't take out treasures that can move me, then I can only trade with someone else. Every treasure that the Tuoba clan took out was amazing enough, but in the eyes of Yi Chunfeng, it was as if he was looking at trash. This made Tuoba Weihai and the others mistakenly believe that Yi Chunfeng was deliberately making things difficult for them. Junior, although you are strong, my Tuoba clan is not so easy to bully. If you continue to provoke us, don't blame my Tuoba clan for using all our strength to annihilate you. The black-robed old man warned with a gloomy expression. Let me give you a word of advice. I have always been merciful to your Tuoba clan. I hope that you will not be overbearing and provoke me. Otherwise, I will do whatever it takes to turn your Tuoba clan into a living hell. Yi Chunfeng ignored the black-robed old man's warning and coldly replied, Also, your Tuoba clan has lost the right to redeem the God Confusion Ancient Seal. Next, it will be someone else's turn to trade with me. You're courting death. Yi Chunfeng's arrogance completely infuriated the black-robed old man. A towering rage erupted from his body. Just as he couldn't hold it in any longer and was about to attack, the creation sword soul flew out of Yi Qianfeng's sea of soul. It hovered in the void and locked onto the black-robed old man. If you don't want to die, then scram. Otherwise, I can guarantee that you won't see the sun tomorrow. Chapter 2154. Under Yi Qianfeng's terrifying battle prowess, the people of the Tuoba clan were much more well-behaved. No one dared to provoke them anymore, and the transaction continued. Everyone, no matter who can take out a treasure that can move me, this God Confusion ancient seal will be his. Yi Qianfeng glanced at the various major characters in Bewildering City and announced loudly. The God Confusion ancient seal was a good item and was known as the Tuoba clan's ultimate treasure. However, it was also a hot potato. No matter who obtained it, they would become the mortal enemy of the Tuoba clan. The Tuoba clan would definitely spare no expense to snatch it back. For a moment, all the major characters who came here were silent. No one made a bid. Sir, I think you should be clear about our concerns. How can you guarantee that the God Confusion ancient seal won't be snatched back by the Tuoba clan? At this moment, a low voice entered Yi Qianfeng's ears. If you really have a treasure that can move me, I can stay in Bewildering City for half a year and leave after you guys have completely refined the God Confusion ancient seal. Yi Qianfeng pondered for a moment and said. This was also the greatest compromise he could make. Humph, Junior, I advise you not to think about obtaining anything good from them. The God Confusion ancient seal is the ultimate treasure of my Tuoba clan. No one can change this fact. Tuoba Weihai coldly snorted as he looked at the silent crowd. Sir, do you think these two items can be exchanged for the God Confusion ancient seal? Just as the Heaven Immortal Tower sank into silence, a man in dark blue robes with a thick black beard and deep eyes suddenly spoke. Wan Zhenyu, do you want to fight to the death with my Tuoba clan? As the sound of Tuoba Weihai's voice faded, someone stood out to make a transaction with Yi Qianfeng. This action was undoubtedly a slap to his face, causing him to fly into a rage out of humiliation. Wan clan, it seems like the rumors are true. The Tuoba clan and the Wan clan are like fire and water. There aren't many powers in Bewildering City that can take the God Confusion ancient seal, but the Wan clan is one of them. Looking at the middle-aged man who suddenly made a bid, many people recognized him. He was the Wan clan's patriarch, Wan Zhenyu. Release the seal and let me see. Seeing a piece of dead wood and a fist-sized blood jade in Wan Zhenyu's hand, Yi Qianfeng's eyes brightened as he spoke. All right. Wan Zhenyu nodded and released the two seals, allowing Yi Qianfeng to release his powerful soul force to sense the two treasures. An old branch of the ancient space tree. This is the creation sword spirit. Yi Qianfeng was overjoyed. The two treasures that Wan Zhenyu had taken out were extremely important to him, especially the creation sword spirit. If he could fuse the creation sword spirit into the universal origin sword and let Mo, or refine it, the universal origin sword would reach the level of a creation divine artifact, greatly increasing his battle prowess. According to Yi Qianfeng's senses, the ancient spatial tree branch in Wan Zhenyu's hand was also extraordinary. Contained the first 8 levels of the law of space. If he could comprehend it, it would greatly increase the defense of the 100 layers spatial seal. Alright, I can make the exchange. Compared to the ancient space tree branch and the sword spirit of creation, the ancient God Confusion seal was of limited help to Yi Qianfeng. He did not hesitate to complete the deal with Wan Zhenyu. Wan Zhenyu, you are very good. Tuoba Weihai gritted his teeth and said. Tuoba Weihai, the Wan clan is my eternal friend. I hope you won't make a move against them. Otherwise, I swear that I will annihilate your Tuoba clan. Looking at the gloomy expression of Tuoba Weihai, Yi Qianfeng coldly warned. Humph, let's go. Tuoba Weihai took in a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. He brought the Tuoba clan experts with him and left the Heaven Immortal Tower. Seeing the killing intent in Tuoba Weihai's eyes, Yi Chunfeng knew that his warning was ignored. However, Yi Chunfeng didn't mind. If the Tuoba clan didn't know what was good for them, Yi Chunfeng wouldn't mind wasting his energy to annihilate them. Sir, I have a presumptuous request. Wan Zhenyu kept the ancient god Confusion seal and said, I would like to ask you to save someone. Save who? Yi Chunfeng frowned. My daughter, Wan Zhenyu said. She was injured by Tuoba Wanjian some time ago and her life is in danger. Sure. Yi Chunfeng nodded. I will form a good karma with your Wan clan then. Let's go, we will go to your Wan clan now. After speaking, Yi Chunfeng followed Wan Zhenyu and the others and left the Heaven Immortal Tower. The sky of Confusion God City might change soon. Yeah, I wonder who will be the one laughing till the end. Staring at the departing backs of Yi Chun and the others, the major characters in Confusion God City started to discuss. They could smell the scent of war. Young Master Yi, may I know where you are from? On the way to the Wan clan, Wan Zhenyu learned of Yi Chunfeng's name. He was extremely curious about Yi Chunfeng's background. Kunlun Holy Ground, Yi Chunfeng calmly replied. Then what is your relationship with the human emperor? The Kunlun Holy Ground was very famous in the Void God world. After learning that Yi Chunfeng came from the Kunlun Holy Ground, Wan Zhenyu couldn't help but have a higher opinion of Yi Chunfeng. The human emperor is my elder brother. Yi Chunfeng spouted nonsense. It's true. Wan Zhenyu's heart shook. And Yi Chunfeng nodded mysteriously. Because Yi Chunfeng's performance was too domineering, Wan Zhenyu believed him and became even more respectful towards him. Soon, Yi Chunfeng and the others arrived at the foot of the mountain. The environment was elegant and the Wan clan's residence was enveloped by powerful restrictions. Master, it's not good. Ruoqing just vomited a lot of blood. The old ancestor is doing his best to extend her life, but the situation isn't good. Wan Zhenyu and the others had just returned to the Wan clan's residence when Wan Zhenyu's concubine hurriedly ran out and said anxiously, Don't panic. As long as she's still breathing, I can save her. Yi Chunfeng had a large number of life spiritual items and the life elixir given to him by the God of Life. No matter how serious the injury was, he could treat it. Then I'll leave everything to young Master Yi. Wan Zhenyu instructed and immediately brought Yi Chunfeng to the small courtyard where Wan Ruoqing was recuperating. They saw Wan Ruoqing lying on the wooden bed like a sleeping beauty and a white-haired old man with a ruddy complexion. Late-stage Void God Realm. Seeing the white-haired old man, Yi Chunfeng immediately recognized that he was a late-stage Void God Realm expert. With him overseeing the Wan clan and suppressing the ancestral bloodline, the Tuoba clan was indeed apprehensive. Old Ancestor, this is young Master Yi who sold the God Confusion Ancient Seal. He has already sold the God Confusion Ancient Seal to our Wan clan and has agreed to treat Ruoqing. Wan Zhenyu introduced. Thank you, little friend. The God Confusion Ancient Seal was very important to the Wan clan. If the Wan clan completely refined the God Confusion Ancient Seal, they could use this treasure to resist the Tuoba clan. Senior is too polite. Yi Chunfeng smiled faintly and said neither arrogantly nor humbly. He came to the bedside, stretched out 3 fingers, and pressed them on Wan Ruoqing's white and tender wrist. He released a powerful soul force to examine her body. How is it, little friend Yi? How confident are you in curing Ruoqing? The white-haired old man asked in a low voice after Yi Chunfeng had finished examining Wan Ruoqing's body. 80% confident. Although Wan Ruoqing's life spirit was weak and could dissipate at any time, her meridians were severely damaged, and her internal organs were ruptured. Yi Chunfeng still had the means to treat her. Really? Wan Zhenyu let out a long sigh of relief after hearing Yi Chunfeng's reply. Alright, I'm going to start saving her now. However, I don't like people watching when I'm saving people. If you trust me, then hand her over to me. Yi Chunfeng said indifferently, I'll do my best to treat her. Young Master Yi, I'll leave everything to you. Chapter 2155. I'm sorry. After Wan Zhenyu and the others left, Yi Chunfeng immediately summoned the ancient ancestral banner and sealed off the entire room. Then, he looked at the unconscious Wan Ruoqing and tore her clothes apart, revealing her body. Her skin was dull but flawless. Wan Ruoqing was known as one of the 10 beauties of the City of Confusion. Not only was she beautiful, but her figure was even better. Her sexy collarbone, perky breasts, slender waist, and long, straight legs exuded an enchanting charm under the light that could instantly capture one's soul. Wan Ruoqing's life was at stake, but Yi Chunfeng had no time to admire her beautiful body. He gently picked her up and placed her in the bathtub. Then, Yi Chunfeng took out a large amount of 10,000-year spiritual milk from the universe mirror and poured it into the bathtub to soak Wan Ruoqing's weak body. The powerful spirituality of the 10,000-year spiritual milk nourished her severely damaged meridians and slowly awakened her declining body's potential. Life Origin Spirit Pearl Merge. As the 10,000-year spirit milk entered Wan Ruoqing's body bit by bit, Yi Chunfeng cut open Wan Ruoqing's white cleavage and took out a Life Origin Spirit Pearl, embedding it between her breasts to further repair her body. Physical injuries were easy to heal, but Wan Ruoqing's weak life spirit was extremely difficult to repair. Even the Life Origin Spirit Pearl couldn't nourish her life spirit. However, Yi Chunfeng had the life pill refined by the God of Life, which could completely repair her life spirit. No, her body is too weak. I have to stimulate her body's potential. Sensing the changes in Wan Ruoqing's body, Yi Chunfeng found that her body was too weak, and the speed at which she absorbed the Life Origin Spirit Pearl and 10,000-year spiritual milk was very slow. He immediately took out 108 silver needles and inserted them into 108 acupuncture points on her body to stimulate her body. Her body's potential is exhausted. Yi Chunfeng wanted to stimulate Wan Ruoqing's body's potential through acupuncture, but he found that her body's potential was almost exhausted due to the torture of death. He felt a little troubled. Alas, it seems that I can only use that method. Helpless, Yi Chunfeng took out a bottle of extremely strong aphrodisiac from the demon race, gently opened Wan Ruoqing's moist mouth, and fed her the entire bottle of aphrodisiac. The medicine was fed to her. Very soon, a layer of red appeared on Wan Ruoqing's skin. Her breathing became rapid, and there was a trace of pain between her brows. Her alluring body was like a spirit snake, gently twisting in the bathtub. As the medicinal effect took effect, Yi Chunfeng immediately released strands of divine power to bind Wan Ruoqing's body, not allowing her to move. He also sealed all the pores on her body, using the medicinal effect to awaken her overdrawn body's potential and increase the speed at which her corporeal body absorbed the Life Origin Spirit Bead and the 10,000 years spirit milk. Sad, I'm so sad, with her body restrained and unable to move, Wan Ruoqing, who had a pained expression on her face, let out a seductive moan. Her coquettish expression made Yi Chunfeng's heart flutter involuntarily. Hang in there, it'll be fine as long as we get through this. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and suppressed his restless heart. He compressed his voice into a thin line and transmitted it into Wan Ruoqing's ears. Upon hearing Yi Chunfeng's voice, Wan Ruoqing, who was in unbearable pain, suddenly opened her eyes. When she saw Yi Chunfeng not far away, her beautiful eyes revealed shyness and anger. Who are you? What do you want? Wan Ruoqing spat out a few words with difficulty. When she discovered that she was naked in front of Yi Chunfeng, a trace of panic appeared in her heart. Don't be nervous, I'm saving you. Yi Chunfeng transmitted his voice. I'm feeding you sex. This medicine is just to awaken your declining body's potential. Really? When she saw Yi Chunfeng's clear eyes, she couldn't help but feel desire. Wan Ruoqing's heart calmed down a little. If I really wanted to do something to you, I wouldn't have to go through so much trouble, Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. If you dare to hurt me, my Wan family will make sure you die without a burial ground. Wan Ruoqing bit her lip and warned him with difficulty. Then, she closed her eyes and bit her lip. She tried her best to hold on until she was on the verge of collapse. However, her body's potential was being awakened little by little under the stimulation of the powerful medicine. Raging flames burned in her body as if they wanted to melt her. Come, open your mouth. Suddenly, Yi Qinfeng's voice sounded in Wan Ruoqing's ears. She instinctively opened her bloody mouth. Whoosh! Yi Qinfeng gently flicked his finger and sent a pill of life into her mouth. He borrowed the powerful life origin energy to repair her soul that was about to shatter. Please, please help me. I'm in pain, I can't take it anymore. As Wan Ruoqing's injuries slowly healed, she, who was on the verge of collapse, opened her eyes once more. Then, she looked at the nearby Yi Qinfeng in shame. At this time, Wan Ruoqing only wanted to vent the flames in her body. If it weren't for her body being restrained, she would have already thrown herself at Yi Qinfeng like a madwoman. I can't help you. If you can't overcome this crisis, not only will you not be able to recover, but you won't be able to step into the ancestor realm in the future. Although Wan Ruoqing was very beautiful and her current posture was seductive, causing one's imagination to run wild, Yi Qinfeng suppressed the flames in his heart. He looked at her tender and beautiful face that seemed as if blood would drip out at any moment. After he finished speaking, Yi Qinfeng sat down cross-legged on the ground. He ignored Wan Ruoqing's cries and waited in silence. Time slowly passed. After what seemed like years, Wan Ruoqing, who was on the verge of collapse, finally made it through the most difficult moment. The potential of her body was completely stimulated. All of a sudden, all of her meridians and damaged internal organs were completely restored under the nourishment of the 10,000-year spirit milk and life essence. Alright, I'll now force out the remnant medicinal energy in your body. When the time comes, you only need to refine the pill of life and your fate soul will be restored. You'll also be able to return to normal. After saying this, Yi Qinfeng walked behind Wan Ruoqing and gently placed his right hand on her smooth back. Feeling Yi Qinfeng's powerful hand, Wan Ruoqing couldn't help but seduce Wan Ruoqing. The dazed Wan Ruoqing couldn't help but let out a seductive voice. The bashful scene made her want to find a hole to hide in. Yi Qinfeng's heart swayed even more. Taking a deep breath, Yi Qinfeng eliminated all distracting thoughts and forced out the remnant medicinal energy in her body to undo the seal. Wan Ruoqing's body went limp and she collapsed into the bathtub like a pile of mud. Her rosy lips opened slightly as she breathed out heavy breaths. Let's go, I'll carry you to the bed. Yi Qinfeng ignored Wan Ruoqing's protests and carried her out of the bathtub. She was completely naked and without a trace of strength. Being carried naked by Yi Qinfeng, Wan Ruoqing instinctively placed her hands on her sensitive parts. Her heart was in turmoil and fiercely beating. A mesmerizing blush crept up her body. While her thoughts were running wild, Yi Qinfeng placed her on the soft bed and covered her with a blanket. Yi Qinfeng looked at Wan Ruoqing, who only had her head exposed, and slowly said, "You should rest well. Your fate soul will be restored in a month at the latest. You wait." Just as Yi Qinfeng turned to leave, Wan Ruoqing, whose face was as red as an apple, suddenly grabbed Yi Qinfeng's arm and whispered, "Who the hell are you?" "I am someone your father found to save you," Yi Qinfeng indifferently replied while looking at the blushing Wan Ruoqing with a complicated gaze. "Then, can you keep today's secret?" Wan Ruoqing looked into Yi Qinfeng's clear eyes and gently bit her lips. "I was saving you earlier, and I'm not a blabbermouth. I won't tell a third party," Yi Qinfeng softly promised. Thank you." Although Yi Qinfeng had seen her naked body and held her in his arms, Wan Ruoqing was not angry. She gently bit her lips while looking at Yi Qinfeng's handsome face and whispered, "Rest." Chapter 2156. Young Master Yi, how is my daughter? Wan Zhenyu and the others, who had been patiently waiting outside, immediately went up to Yi Chunfeng and asked with concern when they saw him push open the door. "Don't worry, your daughter's injuries are no longer serious. She will recover in at most a month," Yi Chunfeng said softly. Thank you, young Master Yi. I really don't know how to repay your kindness to my Wan clan." After knowing that Wan Ruoqing was fine, Wan Zhenyu's heart finally relaxed. He thanked Yi Chunfeng from the bottom of his heart. "If your Wan clan really wants to repay me, help me find a person." Yi Chunfeng took out the portrait of Shin Judy and said, "This is Old Ghost." Looking at the portrait in Yi Chunfeng's hand, the Wan clan ancestor raised his eyebrows slightly and said softly, "Senior, do you know this person?" Yi Chunfeng looked at the Wan clan ancestor and asked. "This person is somewhat similar to the old ghost in the flower alley of the South City, but I can't be sure if they are the same person. Senior, can you tell me the location of the flower alley of the South City? I'll go take a look," Yi Chunfeng said. "Sure, but this old ghost has a strange temper and is lustful. You must be careful when you go there. Don't provoke him," the Wan clan ancestor said. "Why? Is this old ghost very strong?" Yi Chunfeng's heart skipped a beat. "Very strong." The Wan clan ancestor nodded and said, 10,000 years ago, the Tuoba clan had a bad relationship with him because of a woman. However, the two ancestors of the Wan clan were unable to do anything to him. In the end, they even forced the Tuoba clan to apologize. That matter has become a stain on the Tuoba clan's history. However, after that incident, the old ghost rarely went out and was gradually forgotten by people. Old Ghost, Shin Judy. After hearing the Wan clan ancestor's explanation, Yi Chunfeng was basically sure that the old ghost was the Shin Judy he was looking for. "Alright everyone, I will return first. I will stay in the City of Confusion for about half a year. If the Tuoba family dares to make a move against you during this period of time, I will do my best to help." With that, Yi Chunfeng left the Wan residence and returned to the lakeside villa to find the Grim Reaper. "Grim Reaper, we have news of your master." "Really? Where is my master?" the Grim Reaper asked excitedly. "If the Wan family's information is accurate, your master should be at Flower Alley in South City." Yi Chunfeng said, "Tomorrow morning we'll go look for him." The night passed quickly. The next morning, Yi Chunfeng teleported the Heaven Plucker that was cultivating into the Universe realm and headed to the Flower Alley in the South City with Grim Reaper. Although it was early in the morning, there were still many women wearing thin clothes walking in and out of the flower lane of the South City. They would flirt with the pedestrians from time to time. "It's here." Walking into the depths of the Flower Alley, Yi Chunfeng found a shabby shop that sold some herbs and spiritual materials. According to the Wan clan ancestor, the old ghost was hiding in the shop. "Dear guests, may I know what you would like to buy?" When Yi Chunfeng and the Grim Reaper walked into the deserted shop, a voluptuous woman in a pink dress with heavy makeup on her face stood up slowly. She sized up Yi Chunfeng and the Grim Reaper and asked, "We are here to look for the old ghost." Yi Chunfeng went straight to the point. "The old ghost is already dead. If you want to see him, go to the mass graves in West City." After knowing the purpose of Yi Chunfeng and the Grim Reaper, the woman with heavy makeup said coldly, "I can already feel his aura. He is behind us." With that, Yi Chunfeng and the Grim Reaper walked to the back hall. "Hold on, what do you want? If you dare to act recklessly, don't blame this old lady for being impolite." The woman with heavy makeup spread her arms and pointed her voluptuous breasts at Yi Chunfeng as she fiercely warned. "Although a 4-star Ancestor Realm expert is extraordinary, he is still no threat to us," Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. He released a strand of divine power and bound the woman's body. "Save me, someone wants to be strong. Rape me, someone save me." With her body bound, the woman with heavy makeup immediately shouted at the top of her lungs. But just as she shouted, Yi Chunfeng, whose face was full of black lines, sealed her throat, making it impossible for her to make a single sound. After controlling the woman with heavy makeup, Yi Chunfeng and the Grim Reaper passed through the back hall and a layer of restriction. They came to the back hall, which was picturesque like a fairyland. They saw an old man in a gray robe, sitting on a bamboo chair and fishing with a fishing rod in his hand. Behind the old man, there were two beautiful women in white tulle dresses. Their skin was as smooth as milk and their figures were graceful. They were gently massaging the old man's body. Looking at the old man in front of him, the Grim Reaper was shocked. He immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the old man 18 times. The unfilial disciple, the Grim Reaper, pays his respects to Master. Looking at the Grim Reaper kneeling on the ground, the two massaging women were surprised and looked at Yi Chunfeng and the Grim Reaper. The old man seemed to have not heard the Grim Reaper's words and was still fishing calmly. Senior Shinjiodi, you are in a good mood. After confirming that the old man in front of him was Shinjiodi, who was at the peak of the empty god realm, several thoughts flashed through Yi Chunfeng's mind as he slowly walked over. Do you know how to fish? Looking at Yi Chunfeng, who was walking to his side, Shinjiodi looked at the pond in silence and asked, I know a thing or two. Yi Chunfeng looked at the pond and realized that the fish in the pond were different from those outside. They all had the body of a beauty and the tail of a fish. They looked charming and were about an inch-long mermaids. Shinjiodi took out a fishing rod without a hook from his Qian Kuan ring and handed it to Yi Chunfeng. Come, I will give you a fishing rod. If you can catch a mermaid, we will talk about the purpose of your visit. If you can't, you can go back to where you came from. All right. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and took the fishing rod. He placed the fishing line into the pond and closed his eyes to sense it. Shinjiodi did not say anything and the Grim Reaper, who was kneeling on the ground, did not get up. This is, when the fishing line entered the pond, Yi Chunfeng suddenly realized that the pond had turned into a stormy ocean. Many attractive beauties had turned into ferocious beasts. They opened their bloody mouths and tried to bite Yi Chunfeng. Realm. Yi Chunfeng's heart skipped a beat. He was sure that the pond in front of him was formed by Shinjiodi's realm. For the realm to evolve to such a state, it showed how powerful Shinjiodi was. Ferocious realm, sword realm. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and controlled the power of the two realms through the fishing rod. They merged into Shinjiodi's realm and turned into a huge net. He wanted to trap the ferocious beasts one by one. However, every time the two realms caught the ferocious beasts, they would be broken by Shinjiodi's realm and Yi Chunfeng was unable to catch any fish. Time stop. Despite his repeated failures, Yi Chunfeng was not in a hurry. He had been waiting for this opportunity. Finally, when he controlled the power of the two realms to trap the four ferocious beasts, he suddenly stopped time and affected Shinjiodi's realm. Although Shinjiodi's power was able to break the time stop in an instant, Yi Chunfeng made use of this opportunity to catch a mermaid. Chapter 2157. Senior, is this considered a success? Yi Chunfeng turned his head to look at Shinjiodi and asked. Less than 10,000 years of cultivation, mastering two realms, time stop rules of order, great circle of empty god realm. Since when did the empty god realm have such a genius like you? Shinjiodi put down the fishing rod in his hand and turned his head to look at Yi Chunfeng. Senior, you have been in seclusion for too long. You should go out and take a look. This world is different from the ancient times. Yi Chunfeng said. Seems like you are here to invite me out? Shinjiodi understood the meaning behind Yi Chunfeng's words and said, Death God and I want you to come out and help us fight against Shin Huang. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, What do you think? Fight against Shin Huang? Just the two of you? Shinjiodi's eyes were filled with disdain. Death God and I are indeed not Shin Huang's match. However, we have gathered all the forces that can fight against Shin Huang. Yi Chunfeng continued, The ancient Star Road is about to appear. Senior, don't you want to go there and fight for the chance to become a god? Are you done? After listening to Yi Chunfeng, Shin Huang was not moved. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, "On account of my unfilial disciple, I will not make things difficult for you. You may leave." Shen Jiudi said coldly, "Senior, do you really want to be in seclusion for the rest of your life?" Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. "Shen Jiudi is dead. There is only old ghost left in this world," Shen Jiudi said emotionlessly. "The ancient star road has appeared. Are you not going to try your luck?" Yi Chunfeng did not give up and continued to ask. "You don't have to worry about that," Shen Jiudi said. "All right, I have to continue fishing. You may leave." "Sai, before I came, my father told me that if you are willing to come out, he is willing to give you a heaven and earth creation fruit." Yi Chunfeng stood up slowly and sighed. Heaven and earth creation fruit. Shen Jiudi's deep eyes shot out rays of light. Other than the heaven and earth creation fruit, Junior also has a bit of mysterious heaven divine marrow, Yi Chunfeng continued to say as he caught the gleam in Shen Jiudi's eyes. Mysterious heaven divine marrow. Shen Jiudi's breathing became heavier. No matter if it was the heaven and earth fortune fruit or the mysterious sky divine marrow, they were all incomparably precious items. They were almost extinct in the void god world, and were very difficult to find. To Shen Jiudi, who was nearing the end of his lifespan, they were extremely important. "Well, in addition to these two items, I can also ask for a divine creation pill for you." Yi Chunfeng nodded. Divine creation pill. Shen Jiudi's wrist shook slightly and the fishing rod in his hand turned into ashes. The divine fortune pill was an ultimate pill that surpassed the void spirit pill. Although the divine creation pill was most useful to the great empty god realm and could allow them to step into the peak of the empty god realm, it was equally effective to the peak of the empty god realm. Moreover, to people like Shen Jiudi who had 1 foot in the extreme empty god realm, it was a fatal temptation. Who has the divine creation pill? Shen Jiudi's deep eyes shot out rays of light as he locked onto Yi Chunfeng and asked loudly. "My father, Yi Chunfeng." Yi Chunfeng said. "Your father is Yi Chunfeng." After knowing Yi Chunfeng's identity, Shen Jiudi revealed a surprised expression. "Well, if Senior is willing to go back with us, I promise to ask for a divine creation pill for you." Yi Chunfeng nodded and promised. "How about this, Death God will stay and you go back first. I will give you an answer within 3 days." Shen Jiudi thought for a while, and could not resist the temptation of the divine creation pill. "All right." Yi Chunfeng nodded and did not stay for long. He left alone and returned to the lakeside residence. Unexpectedly, he saw someone. "Why are you here?" Looking at Wan Ruoqing, who was wearing a white floral dress, with skin as smooth as milk and an elegant temperament, Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile. "What? You don't want to see me? Or are you hiding a beauty and don't want me to know?" Wan Ruoqing looked at Yi Chunfeng with a complicated gaze and said coldly, "Come in." Yi Chunfeng shook his head. He brought the beautiful Wan Ruoqing to the courtyard and sat under an ancient tree that would take several people to wrap their arms around it. Then, he fetched a pot of immortal tea. "Why are you looking for me?" Yi Chunfeng poured a cup of immortal tea overflowing with spiritual energy for Wan Ruoqing and asked softly, "I want to know who you are." Wan Ruoqing opened her red lips slightly and took a sip of the immortal tea. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng met her big eyes and slowly said, "I am only a passerby by the city of confusion." Wan Ruoqing gently bit her lips and asked Yi Chunfeng, "Then, will you stay for me? We are only strangers who met by chance. And we are destined to leave." Yi Chunfeng shook his head. But you saw me naked and touched me." Wan Ruoqing bit her lips and said in a lovely manner, "Don't tell me you want to be irresponsible. I only did that to save you, that's all." He looked at Wan Ruoqing's pretty face and continued, "Moreover, I will keep that matter to myself and won't tell anyone. You disappoint me too much." Wan Ruoqing's heart was filled with grievances after seeing Yi Qinfeng's cold eyes. Her eyes were brimming with tears. Just as the situation was about to settle down, Yi Qinfeng's powerful soul power suddenly sensed an abnormality. He stood up and grabbed Wan Ruoqing's soft hand. Didn't you reject me? Why are you grabbing me? Wan Ruoqing's face was slightly red as she resisted. Your Wan clan is in trouble, Yi Qinfeng said with a gloomy expression. Come, follow me to kill. With that, Yi Qinfeng took Wan Ruoqing's soft body into his arms and flew towards the Wan clan estate at an extremely fast speed. Wan Yuanming, Wan Zhenyu, my patience is limited. If you don't want anything to happen to the Wan clan, hand over the God Confusion ancient seal. Otherwise, this god swears to destroy your Wan clan. Tuoba Weihai, who was wearing a black robe and exuding a strong murderous aura, spoke arrogantly as he looked down at the Wan clan mansion shrouded in restrictions. Behind Tuoba Weihai stood 5 powerful empty god realm masters. 2 of them had even reached the late empty god realm. The Tuoba clan had sent out 6 empty god realm masters at once, shocking the entire God Confusion city. It made the other clans feel that a storm was brewing, and it made the Wan clan feel immense pressure. Although the Wan clan had old ancestor Wan Yuanming and could challenge the Tuoba clan, in terms of foundation and overall strength, the Wan clan was far inferior to the Tuoba clan. If the Tuoba clan went all out, the Wan clan would not be able to withstand it. What should we do, family head? Should we fight? All the powerful figures of Wan clan turned their eyes to Wan Zhenyu, who had a solemn look on his face. Don't panic, defend with all your strength. I think there will be someone who will solve this problem for us. Thinking of the mysterious Yi Qinfeng, Wan Zhenyu could only place all his hopes on him. He prayed that he could reverse the situation and deal a heavy blow to the Tuoba clan, giving the Wan clan time to rise again. Rumble! As he spoke, Tuoba Weihai, who had lost his patience, made his move. He slapped down with his palm, and surging Tao will surged out from all directions. It transformed into a giant hand that covered the sky, and it fiercely smashed onto the formation that enveloped the Wan estate. The terrifying force shook the entire formation, causing it to tremble. Is the Wan clan finished? Chapter 2158. You're finally here. Seeing Yi Qinfeng's sudden appearance, Tuoba Weihai stopped attacking and looked at him coldly. Go to the Wan family mansion and wait for me. Yi Qinfeng patted Wan Ruoqing's head gently and said to her telepathically. But Wan Ruoqing grabbed Yi Qinfeng's arm tightly and said worriedly. Don't worry. I can kill empty gods like I'm killing chickens, Yi Qinfeng said arrogantly. He exerted some force in his right arm and was about to send Wan Ruoqing to the Wan family mansion. Suddenly, a middle empty god appeared beside Wan Ruoqing, who was flying toward the Wan family mansion. He wanted to capture her to threaten Yi Qinfeng. You're courting death. The Void God Realm expert was extremely fast, but Yi Qinfeng's reaction was even faster. Time stop. Suddenly, Yi Qinfeng stopped time and froze this mid-stage nihility god expert in midair, unable to move. Then, Yi Qinfeng's huge hand, which was filled with hundreds of billions of pounds of force, smashed the middle empty god's head. The terrifying force shattered his head and crushed his soul, killing him on the spot. Witnessing the scene of Yi Qinfeng shattering a mid-level virtual god's head with a single palm strike, Tuoba Weihai and the rest were astounded. As for the experts of the various major powers who were hiding in the dark, they were also shocked by Yi Qinfeng's shocking strength. Mr. Yi, do you need help? Wan Zhenyu and the rest were relieved when they saw what had happened. He caught Wan Ruoqing and was ready to fight alongside Yi Qinfeng. They're just a bunch of weaklings. I can handle them alone. Yi Qinfeng shook his head and said arrogantly. Young man, I don't care who you are. I'll make sure you die a horrible death today. One of the Tuoba family patriarchs glared at Yi Qinfeng fiercely and said coldly. With that, the huge formation that enveloped the lost god city appeared. A large number of formation runes fell like a waterfall, wildly merging with the 5 virtual gods like Tuoba Weihai and rapidly increasing their battle prowess. In the blink of an eye, the combat strength of the 2 patriarchs of the Tuoba family had reached the perfect empty god realm. Tuoba Weihai and the other 2 patriarchs also possessed the combat strength of the advanced empty god realm. The terrifying aura suppressed the heavens, making it difficult for the onlookers to breathe. The Tuoba family is worthy of being the number 1 family in the City of Confusion. Their foundation is too terrifying. Yeah, that kid is dead for sure. Not only will that brat die, I'm afraid that after today, the Wan clan won't have a place to stay in the City of Confusion. Sensing the rising auras of Tuoba Weihai and the others, almost no one thought highly of Yi Chunfeng, much less the Wan clan. Old ancestor, father, young master Yi is in danger. Quickly help him fend off the enemy. Wan Ruoqing shook Wan Yuanming's arm with all her might and begged bitterly. There's no rush. Looking at Yi Chunfeng's calm face, Wan Yuanming shook his head. He wanted to know how powerful Yi Chunfeng was. If we were in the governor's mansion, I might have some scruples. However, outside, no matter how powerful you are, it's useless. Looking at Tuoba Weihai and the others, whose combat strength had soared to the maximum, Yi Chunfeng smiled. He burned his Hong Meng blood, merged his chaotic celestial body and God's heart, and raised his combat strength to the peak of the empty God realm. He directly crushed the aura released by Tuoba Weihai and the others. What? Perfect empty God realm. Feeling Yi Chunfeng's overwhelming aura, Tuoba Weihai's ferocious expression froze, revealing a look of disbelief. Alright, all of you attack together. After dealing with all of you, I'm going back to sleep. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng summoned the universal sword. He pointed at the solemn-looking Tuoba Weihai and the others and said arrogantly, "Set up the formation." Feeling the threat from Yi Chunfeng, Tuoba Weihai and the other 4 did not dare to be careless. They quickly set up the formation and wanted to use the power of the formation to fight against Yi Chunfeng. Is there any use in setting up the formation? Yi Chunfeng sneered. Instantly, he raised his physical strength to the maximum. He held the universal sword and stabbed at Tuoba Weihai and the others. Rumble! As Yi Chunfeng stabbed at them, the formation that Tuoba Weihai and the other 4 had set up was activated. Instantly, the 5 of them combined their strength and turned into roaring waves. They bombarded Yi Chunfeng, trying to destroy him. 3,000 Transformation God Fist. As the waves rolled across the sky, Yi Chunfeng immediately threw out 3,000 invincible God Fists. Like a meteor shower, they instantly shattered the waves and bombarded Tuoba Weihai and the others. Boom! The space in front of Tuoba Weihai and the others shook. Although the 5 of them had used the power of the formation to block off the remaining power of the 3,000 Transformation God Fist, they were still shaken to the point where their blood was in turmoil. Damn it! How can his combat strength be so terrifying? Don't get distracted. Fight with all your strength. Although Yi Chunfeng's combat strength had surprised Tuoba Weihai and the others, they knew that they had no way out. If they could not defeat Yi Chunfeng, what awaited them would be destruction. Buzz, buzz. The 5 of them moved their minds and opened up their powerful domains at the same time. They stacked their 5 domains together and wanted to use the power of their domains to fight against Yi Chunfeng. Primitive Fist. The instant Tuoba Weihai and the other 4 unleashed their domains, Yi Chunfeng fused with the Desolate domain, increasing his strength to close to 300 trillion Jin. He punched out with a tyrannical fist, shattering the entire space and smashing towards the domains unleashed by the 5. When Yi Chunfeng's punch came, the 5 of them immediately controlled their respective domains to receive it. Boom, boom, boom. The power of the 6 domains collided in the void. The explosive power instantly tore the entire space apart, causing a large area of space to collapse and turn into nothingness. Ancestral Swords. When the 6 domains clashed fiercely, Yi Chenfeng merged with the sword realm and pushed the power of sword principle to the extreme. He formed tens of thousands of invincible divine swords and slashed at Tuoba Wei Hai and the others to suppress them. Impressive. Young Master Ye's combat strength is really impressive. You are able to suppress Tuoba Wei Hai and the other four by yourself. No wonder you are the younger brother of the human emperor. Wan Zhenyu shook his head and exclaimed. He is the younger brother of the human emperor. Wan Yuanming and the others exclaimed in surprise. It should be true. Wan Zhenyu nodded and said without a doubt. However, he did not know that Yi Chenfeng was just making things up. Infinite chaos. Destruction of gods, tribulation of gods. Facing Tuoba Wei Hai and the others, Yi Chenfeng did not show any mercy. He continued to use his powerful killing moves to attack them. As a result, they were forced to retreat and cracks appeared on the huge array formation. If it was not for the continuous supply of energy from the empty space array formation, Tuoba Wei Hai and the others would not have been able to hold on. Just as Tuoba Wei Hai and the others were pushed back tens of thousands of meters by Yi Chenfeng's ferocious attacks, the blood in their bodies churned and blood flowed out of their mouths. Yi Chenfeng used 3 super skills to attack them. Boom! With one blow, the empty space array formation that the 5 of them had set up shattered. The power of the 3 super skills shattered the domains that the 5 of them had set up and hit their bodies hard. Bang! Bang! The 2 empty God Realm Masters could not withstand the attack of the 3 supreme superpowers. Their bodies directly exploded, turning into clouds of blood mist in the air. Their souls were also shattered by the powerful aftershock. They died on the spot. Although Tuoba Wei Hai and the 2 elders of the Tuoba family had withstood the 3 super skills, they were still severely injured. They fell in Confusion City and destroyed many buildings. Chapter 2159. Next, it's the 3 of you. After killing the 2 of them, Yi Chenfeng's cold eyes swept over the injured Tuoba Wei Hai and the other 2 with killing intent. Wait, I think today's matter is a misunderstanding. Faced with Yi Chenfeng, who possessed extraordinary strength and could not be defeated, Tuoba Wei Hai shouted, wanting to retreat in his heart. Misunderstanding? Isn't it too late to say that now? Yi Chenfeng snorted coldly and said, Fight like a man. The creation sword spirit flew out from Yi Chenfeng's sea of soul and formed an invincible giant sword. The sword split the void and slashed towards Tuoba Wei Hai. When the fortune sword soul attacked, Tuoba Wei Hai and the other 2 immediately controlled their 3 void god artifacts to defend against it. However, the might of the creation sword soul surpassed the void god artifact. With just one sword strike, the 3 void god artifacts were sent flying. The terrifying sword might made Tuoba Wei Hai and the other 2 feel a strong sense of danger. They kept on displaying their trump cards to defend themselves. Ancestral swords. Desolation fists. Limitless chaos. After the creation sword spirit forced the 3 of them back, Yi Chenfeng continued to attack the 3 of them with powerful killing moves. He was determined to kill them. Unable to defend against Yi Chenfeng's ferocious attacks, Tuoba Wei Hai and the other 2 immediately opened up their powerful domains to defend against Yi Chenfeng's supreme divine ability. However, Yi Chenfeng's battle prowess far surpassed the 3 of them. In an instant, the 3 of them opened up their domains and were blasted apart by Yi Chenfeng. The terrifying supreme force continued to push the 3 of them back, causing them to spurt out blood. Who is that person? Why is his battle prowess so shocking? Yeah, he's so young and yet he has such battle prowess. He must be very famous in the void god world. Sigh, the Tuoba family has kicked an iron plate this time. If Tuoba Wei Hai and the other 2 are killed, the situation in Bewitching God City will change. The scene before their eyes had far exceeded the imagination of everyone in the city of Confusion. As they watched Tuoba Wei Hai's group of 3 retreating in defeat, everyone was completely stunned by Yi Chenfeng's strength. Bewildering God diagram, kill the enemy. As his injuries worsened, The ancestor of the Tuoba family gritted his teeth and ignited all the blood in his body at all cost. He quickly flew toward the huge formation that was suspended in the air. Flying under the array diagram, Ancestor Tuoba suddenly detonated his body. He controlled the majestic power of blood and chi to wildly fuse into the array diagram, amplifying the power of the array diagram and launching a fatal attack at Yi Chenfeng. Rumble! After fusing with Patriarch Tuoba's blood and chi, the bewitching god diagram turned crimson red. A large number of runes were like ferocious dragons that had been born. They entered the diagram and roared as they attacked Yi Chenfeng. Break! Yi Chenfeng didn't even try to dodge as he punched out divine fists, shattering the formation dragons and clashing head-on with the art of confusion. Kill! Seizing the opportunity when Yi Chenfeng was clashing head-on with the art of confusion, Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai ignited the power of their blood and controlled their strongest void god artifact to attack Yi Chenfeng. They wanted to take this opportunity to severely injure him. Ka. Just as Yi Chenfeng was being attacked by Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai, the art of confusion that enveloped the city of confusion shook violently. Huge cracks spread across the surface of the art of seeking the truth. Why did the art of confusion shatter? Gosh, what happened this time? Seeing the art of confusion suddenly shattering, everyone present was stunned. They didn't dare to imagine that someone could force the art of confusion back. Even Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai revealed a rare look of fear as a strong sense of uneasiness rose in their hearts. Boom! Just as everyone was attracted by the shattering of the art of confusion, the huge art of confusion trembled again. Countless cracks spread across the art of confusion, and it shattered. As the art of confusion shattered, two proud figures appeared in the void. When Yi Chenfeng saw the tall old man in a long black robe, he couldn't help but reveal a faint smile. Senior, you have finally thought it through and are willing to come out of seclusion. Remember your promise. I won't let you off if you miss anything. Shen Jiudi looked arrogantly at Yi Chenfeng and warned him coldly. Don't worry, Senior. I won't miss anything that I promised you. Yi Chenfeng guaranteed. Let's go. Seeing Shen Jiudi shatter the art of confusion, Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai sensed a strong sense of danger. They didn't dare to stay any longer and wanted to escape back to the Tuoba family. They wanted to borrow the power of the ancestral bloodline to fight against Yi Chenfeng and the rest. Do you still want to escape in front of me? Shen Jiudi took a step forward and tens of thousands of Dao patterns appeared under his feet. He restricted the entire space and trapped Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai like a prison. Your Excellency, the Tuoba family has no intention to be enemies with you. If you are willing to let us off, I promise that wherever you are, the Tuoba family will retreat. Seeing the Dao patterns that sealed the void, Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai's faces changed. They had no choice but to lower their status and speak softly. Not interested, Shen Jiudi said coldly. He clawed at the void and the area around Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai instantly became a vacuum. A terrifying power kept squeezing their bodies and breaking their defenses. Kacha. Following the sound of bones breaking, Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai's bodies were deformed by Shen Jiudi's claw. Immense pain instantly spread throughout their bodies, and they were in so much pain that they wanted to die. Wait. As long as you spare our lives, we are willing to agree to any of your conditions. With their lives hanging by a thread, Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai gave in and begged softly. After killing you, everything in the Tuoba family will belong to I. Shen Jiudi said domineeringly. I still have to negotiate with you. As he spoke, Shen Jiudi's right hand continued to exert strength. The immense power crushed their bodies and souls, killing them on the spot. Junior, I am going to rob the Tuoba family. Tomorrow morning we will meet outside the city. Shinju-di took away Tuoba Wei Hai and Tuoba Wei Hai's belongings and brought the Grim Reaper to the Tuoba family. Thank you, young Master Yi, for saving our lives. The Wan family will never forget your kindness. Seeing Yi Chunfeng land in the Wan family residence, Wan Zhenyu immediately deactivated the array restriction. He led a group of Wan family experts and bowed respectfully to express his gratitude. Wan family head, you are too courteous. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, tomorrow morning I will be leaving. I hope that the Wan family can manage the Lost God City well. Don't worry, young Master Yi. I promise that the Lost God City will be even more glorious under the management of the Wan family. Wan Zhenyu nodded and promised. You are really leaving? Wan Ruoqing looked at Yi Chunfeng with a complicated expression. The scene of Yi Chunfeng showing off his invincible might was deeply imprinted in her mind, and she could not forget it. I came here to look for that senior. Now that I have found him, I will be leaving. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, but when I have time, I will come back to see all of you. After that, Yi Chunfeng did not stay in the Wan family residence for long. He bade farewell to everyone and returned to the lakeside residence. He then summoned Diablo. Diablo, we will be leaving the Lost God City tomorrow. Do you have any unfinished business? Yi Chunfeng asked softly. I want to pay respects to Master and bid farewell to her. Diablo looked at Yi Chunfeng with a complicated expression and said while biting his lips. All right, I will go with you. Yi Chunfeng said. No, I want to pay respects to Master myself and talk to her. Diablo shook his head and said, Chunfeng, can you wait for me here? I will be back soon. All right, then go and come back early. Yi Chunfeng did not insist and gave Diablo a few protective items. Diablo stood on his tiptoes and gently kissed Yi Chunfeng's mouth before leaving the lakeside residence in the night. The night passed quickly. Yi Chunfeng, who had been cultivating for an entire night, was suddenly awakened by a series of knocks on the door. When he opened the courtyard door, he saw a girl who looked like a porcelain doll appear outside the door. Moreover, she was holding a jade slip in her hand. When Yi Chunfeng released his soul into the jade slip, his heart was empty. Diablo left in the end. Yi Chunfeng sighed softly. He did not expect Diablo to leave without saying goodbye. Sigh, perhaps she will come back when she can accept everything. They attracted the terrifying pinnacle divine punishment and were baptized by it in the vast Kunlun celestial mountain. The news of 3 peak divine punishments appearing in the Kunlun Holy Land spread like the wind throughout the entire Void God realm, causing the entire human clan to fall into ecstasy, while the celestial clan fell into a haze. The Phoenix God, the Sunchasur God, and the God of Life endured 3 days and 3 nights of peak divine retribution. When they were about to break through to peak Nihility God, the God of Jade Heaven also attracted peak divine retribution. Although Shun Yaotian had just been revived not too long ago, her foundation far surpassed that of the Chasing Sun God, the Phoenix God, and the God of Life, so the divine punishment she attracted was even more terrifying, as if the end of the world had arrived. While Shun Yaotian was going through the divine punishment to break through to peak virtual God, Yi Chunfeng forcefully merged the spirit of the divine sword into the universal primordial sword, helping Mo to refine the spirit of the divine sword to increase the power and level of the universal primordial sword. After about 3 days, Mo completely controlled the spirit of the divine sword and slowly merged with it. Yi Chunfeng began to comprehend the spatial divine wood's old branch, refining the star dragon pearl, and refining his physical body. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, a year had passed. In this year, Shen Yaotian and the rest had refined the divine creation pill and had broken through to peak virtual god realm. Divine path virtual god, Shun Hungu, and the rest's abilities had also increased significantly. Shen Jiudi had refined the heaven and earth creation fruit, the black heaven divine marrow, and the divine creation pill. He had continuously recovered his blood chi, strengthened his life spirit, and greatly increased his abilities. He was only half a step away from breaking through to extreme virtual god realm. The breakthrough was close at hand, but Shen Jiudi knew that it would be extremely difficult for him to take this last step. If he cultivated on his own, it would be impossible for him to complete it. The ruins of Deity. Maybe there is an opportunity in the ruins of Deity that can allow me to break through to extreme virtual god realm. Shen Jiudi took a deep breath and was determined to enter the ruins of Deity to find an opportunity. Everyone broke through one after another. Yi Qinfeng, who had been cultivating in the cosmos realm, had refined all the star dragon pearls and the divine origin. He had broken through the extreme astral body and reached the divine body realm. His physical body strength had increased to 8 trillion jin, and with just his physical strength alone, he could fight against a complete virtual god realm power. However, the difference in abilities between complete virtual god realm and peak virtual god realm was huge. Just the strength of the divine body realm alone was far from enough. Just as Yi Qinfeng was patiently refining the divine origin and cultivating the divine change of 9 transformations to refine his physical body, a strong force of sword wei gushed out from the universal primordial sword, waking him up from his cultivation. He has broken through. Mo has refined the sword spirit and finally raised the universal primordial sword to a whole new level. Feeling that the power of the universal primordial sword had increased by more than 10 times, Yi Qinfeng let out a faint smile. With his current abilities, Foundation and the universal primordial sword, he could definitely fight against a peak virtual god realm power. The day of the ancient Star Road's appearance was getting closer and closer. Yi Qinfeng and the rest's abilities were increasing steadily. Meanwhile, the Sky Tribe, which was shrouded in a haze, had undergone another shocking change. In just 3 days, the 3 holy lands of the Sky Tribe had been massacred and the Almighties who were above the main stage had mysteriously disappeared. And on the 5th day after the 3 holy lands of the Tian clan were exterminated, a series of roars that spread for tens of thousands of miles resounded in the heavenly palace. A thick bloody mist covered the endless space, as if a great vicious creature was about to appear. His Majesty Shen Huang is finally going to be born. Looking at the sky palace that was getting thicker and thicker, Supreme Shen Tian, who had his hands behind his back, was excited. Although the Sky Tribe was in a bad situation now and had been completely overshadowed by the human tribe and Yi Wuji, as long as Shen Huang was born, all the problems would be solved. Kill everyone. I need the strongest blood and chi to reconstruct my divine body. At this moment, a fierce and emotionless voice rang out in the Sky Palace. Yes, Your Majesty. Supreme Shen Tian did not dare hesitate and immediately ordered people to kill thousands of Almighties who were above the main stage and merge their auras into the blood fog. As the blood and chi above the Sky Palace became thicker and thicker, a ferocious mouth suddenly appeared in the blood fog and released a strong devouring force. It was like a black hole that could devour the heavens and the earth, crazily devouring the blood and chi. Slowly, the black hole disappeared, and a crimson figure appeared in the blood mist. When this figure appeared, a terrifying pressure appeared in the entire space, causing cracks to appear in the sky. His Majesty Shen Huang. Looking at the figure that was getting clearer and clearer, Supreme Shen Tian and the others knelt on the ground and bowed respectfully. Get up and follow me to the Kunlun Holy Land. This god wants to see if that Yi Wuji really has the guts to go against this god. I want to let everyone know that this universe belongs to my Sky Tribe. Shen Huang, whose body was as strong as a divine mountain and wore a divine robe, had a pair of deep eyes that swallowed and spat out a bright light that illuminated the sky. Endless Tao will evolved around his body. He walked out of the blood fog and looked at Supreme Shen Tian and the others who were kneeling on the ground. His voice was as loud as a drum.